me to sing, are you?
There's nothing found. We don't know what
We forgot to mention Kath.
I know.
No, we did
how
earlier.
could you?
Earlier.
We did trail it about 20 minutes ago.
How could you? I thought
did.
I thought it's...
I thought we were going to sing again, but we didn't.
Yeah, he was going to sing, and then...
No, I don't want to sing now. I think you might want to sing, but
No, you should sing.
No, I don't want to sing now. I've had enough. I've had enough. We've upset enough
That's a
people
very
tonight.
nice satchel you have there.
You know, it's very old.
Yeah,
very
I
old. Broken in.
Not by child labourers.
Oh, no, he
Pelting it with
he
rocks.
uses child labourers to break it in.
See you later, guys.
Thank you, bye-bye.
Bye.
Right, let's do this.
So I'm assuming that cement boxes are yours.
Not mine, no.
I know, that's James's, because he was struggling with it earlier.
It was doing it upside down. I've never seen anyone use a cement box upside down.
Oh, it's a fresh water. Okay, great.
I'm alright.
Oh, you can adjust it.
Well, it also has mysterious stains on it.
Oh, right, okay. No, I get that.
If you're looking for a credit card with a credit limit of up to £1,500, go to askocean.co.uk and see in seconds if you'll be accepted for an Ocean credit card before you...
Here we go.
Checking won't affect your credit rating.
Let me plug this bad boy in.
Find out if it's a yes. Go now to askocean.co.uk. 39.9% APR representative variable. Intelligent Lending Limited is a credit broker. Exclusive lending.
Cards. Forget the missed handballs. Forget the brilliance. Forget being an underdog. Forget every game that has gone before. Because all that matters is now.
Harry Kane, England's main goal-getter, is getting his eye in for the summer.
The 2018 FIFA World Cup continues today on ITV.
Service.
New Muller Spreadable?
Made with real churned butter for a creamy taste. Perfect on my canapes.
It's so Mullerlicious. Lose the toppings. It's so good all by itself.
Hey!
New Muller Spreadable. Muller, official spreadable of British athletics.
Available only at selected Tesco stores. Subject to availability. Get 2 free tickets to Warwick Castle worth over £50. Huzzah! Simply collect 9 codes inside the Sun to lay claim to yours. Don't miss an offer fit for a king. Starts this Saturday. The Sun Super Days. They're free of charge.
Across the UK, online and on DAB.
Talk Radio, on the hour news headlines.
Good evening, I'm Carl Hartley. A mother whose son needs cannabis to help him survive his epilepsy has told Talk Radio what she'll say to the Home Secretary to convince him to legalise it.
He will save lives of the hundreds of children in the United Kingdom that are dying with epilepsy. That's what he will do.
That's Charlotte Caldwell, who's given an extended interview to Eamon Holmes. Her son Billy had cannabis oil confiscated at Heathrow Airport, an incident that's led the government to review the medicinal use of the drug. But Charlotte insists there's no time to waste.
In 30 days, we should be able to put this across the line for all the other children. We should be able to move quite quickly on this now. These kids need the medicine now. These kids are dying.
Details of how EU nationals can remain in the UK after Brexit have been announced. There'll be a £65 charge unless people have the right documents already. Boris Johnson will escape an awkward parliamentary vote on Heathrow expansion on Monday. The Foreign Secretary will be abroad, meaning he won't have to decide between backing the government's plans for a new runway or his long-standing opposition. Sky's chief political correspondent John Craig says it means the Prime Minister avoids another confrontation with him.
That is hugely controversial, given a pledge that he gave back in 2015 at his election count in Uxbridge and South Ruislip to lie down in front of the bulldozer as if the third runway ever went ahead.
Former Love Island contestants say they're in absolute shock over the death of one of the show's stars, Sophie Graydon. Fans say the ex-Miss Great Britain had suffered with depression. And Argentina's World Cup is hanging in the balance after a 3-0 defeat to Croatia. The result leaves them third in Group D on just a point and sends Croatia into the last 16. Earlier, France also qualified for the knockout stages with a 1-0 win over Peru. Now tonight, most places will be dry with clear skies. Tomorrow, fine with warm sunshine for most, but cloudier in the west.
Across the UK, online and on DAB.
Talk Radio. Get more passionate debate, more outspoken opinion, and more digital debate for the UK. Your voice counts. Get it heard on Talk Radio. We'll get you talking.
So tonight, with me, Katherine Boyle and Katie Puckrik.
Yes.
We are talking about old hookers. When I mean old hookers, I mean historical hookers, like hooking through the ages.
Oh, I thought you were bringing in something about my personal life. So.
I would never. That's for you to bring up. Okay. We're also talking about bullshine, grade A bullshine.
People horse pucky,
conning their way into positions of which they have no chance of getting into in their normal guises, and I'll tell you a bit more of that about in a second. And also, of course, taking your phone calls. You can give us a ring about anything. 0344 499 1000. That's 0344 499 1000. And Hayley will answer the phone, and Hayley will phone you back, and you'll be on the radio talking to us too.
Yeah,
those two chances.
Yeah.
So this story about the Billy Bullshine. Right?
Yeah.
I saw it on Twitter earlier on. This guy said that his dad had tried to get into a New York restaurant and failed and been told that it was completely booked up.
All right. What kind of restaurant, though?
I think French from the accents in the video.
Okay.
Because he took a video, right? So he is undeterred, and the dad phones back half an hour later and says he is the president of Morocco. Hey, guess what? They found him a table.
Do they? Okay, number one, does Morocco even have a president?
It does.
Okay, I thought it may have just been a kingdom.
And it's an old Moroccan guy. And this dad happens to be an old Moroccan-looking guy. I don't even know what his origin is, but he could pass, right?
Okay, so he didn't have to put on the bronzer.
No, it's a guy with a moustache.
Okay,
as
say
in
no more.
Many cases, it's a guy with a moustache. So he goes, and you see this video, and they are bowing and scraping to this guy. Wow. They're asking for selfies. They get him to sign a plate, and they treat him like the president of Morocco.
Oh. You know what's great about saying you're the president of Morocco? Nobody really knows. It's like saying you're the leader of Bulgaria. Like, it's kind of like, I've heard of Morocco, I know about Bulgaria, but there's no kind of like, I know what the Queen of England looks like.
Right. So you say it like you mean it, and you can get quite far in life, actually, in some places. And if you don't, it's always worth a try, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever pushed the bullshine-ometer?
I have certainly whipped out the horse pucky in certain events. And what I do is, I know I'm lying. That's fine. And I do it with a cheerful demeanor. But my little strategy is I will just go to the box office of a gig I want to see. And then I'll say, hi, I'm Katie Puckrik. And I believe I'm on the list for this. I'm not really sure.
Brilliant.
And I'm always very humble about it. Like, I might not be. I may have just completely gotten it wrong, but I thought I spoke to the person and I'm all really vague about it. And then they just usher me right in. And the best time I ever did this, Catherine, was when the Beach Boys, when Brian Wilson and the, reactivated Beach Boys were playing the London Palladium. Right. I think it was a summer or two ago. And yeah, I did that whole, I think Six Music may have put me on. Maybe it's not even tonight. Maybe it was for the show tomorrow night. And
so you're not really lying.
Yeah.
You're not really telling the truth, but you're not really lying.
Well, I definitely, I've already been told. In these cases, I usually do try to go through the official channels, and then they say, no, forget it. You're not. You're not important enough. And so then I just try it nicely. And then the box office manager did give me a little wink, okay, I'll put, but I got in and there I was in the first circle overlooking this, direct eye line to the stage. Nice. Yeah. But not, I don't try to palm myself off as somebody else, but I do know somebody actually who, speaking of Morocco, my friend Tammy Glover, who works in film production. She was on a trip to Morocco, and she called the Mamounia Hotel, which is the big swanky-danky place in town. And she said, "Hi, my name is Tammy Glover, and I'd like to book a room." Blah, blah. She gets there. It turns out that they thought she said Danny Glover, and they booked her in the presidential suite.
Wow.
And they were bowing and scraping.
On the basis of Lethal Weapon?
On the basis of the fact that I guess Danny Glover is the name to drop when you're in, when you're in Marrakesh.
Wow.
And so she was, they were confused, and they were sort of like looking past her, looking over her shoulder. Is Danny coming? Is Danny with you? No, Tammy. I'm Tammy Glover. And then they just had to eat it.
Wow. They didn't withdraw the offer.
They didn't, because they realized that some lower level dog's body kind of queered the deal. So so she got a really great trip out of it.
That is amazing. I've never gone that far on Bullshine alone. The occasion I did, it was a really mild thing, but it spiraled. And it was, I've told this story before, so if you've heard this story before, please forgive me and just switch your brains off just for 2 seconds. But when I was a kid, I was in a choir. I'm talking about 14.
Yeah.
And Bob Monkhouse was the special guest at this village fete thing that we were performing at. Do you remember Bob Monkhouse?
Yeah.
Yeah. Big deal. Big television deal in his day.
Sure.
And my friend said, I really want Bob Monkhouse's autograph, but I daren't go up to him. I went, what? I'll go. He's just a bloke. I'll go for you. So I go up, excuse me, Mr. Monkhouse, could I possibly have your autograph? Yeah, sure, what's your name? And instead of doing the thing that I think is a little bit rude, of going, oh, it's not for me, it's for my friend, I said, oh, it's Jackie, my name's Jackie. And he went, oh, Jackie, that's a beautiful name. In fact, my wife's called Jackie. Jackie! We brought her over. We were involved in a good 10-minute conversation about how great it was to be called Jackie.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, they're so nice. They're so nice. Anyway, so I was Jackie for 10 minutes.
And then you were obliged to go and have it changed by deed poll.
Yeah, definitely. So that's why my name is now Jackie.
Right.
Exactly. So that's what we want you to give us a ring on if you fancy. And you can, as I say, I'll give you suggestions, but you don't have to go by them. We're freestyling on this show.
Yeah.
0344 499 1000. How far have you got on Bullshine alone? Let's have a quick word with Hawk. Hey, Hawk.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
You alright?
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the show last night. It was super.
Oh, thank you very much.
You.
I'm trying to work out whether we've spoken before, Hawk.
Yes, it's Star.
Ah, right. Why are they calling you Hawk on this?
I ain't got a clue.
How weird. Anyway, it's nice. It's nice to hear from you, Star. What you got?
Well, 2 things.
Go on.
I have met a couple of celebrities.
Oh, yeah.
My first one was when I was about 5-6 years of age. My mum took me to the Birmingham Hippodrome to see Little and Large.
Right.
And I was called up on stage. So that was really good.
You were that kid. Whenever I went to shows, I was always sitting too far back.
Oh, no. We were sort of towards the front, but in the aisle part. And they walked up and they saw me, and I was only tiny, and they saw me, and he grabbed my hand. He said, right, come on, you come up on stage with us. And I was like, okay. Really shy, really quiet, but really good. And then my second one was, I was at school. I was one of the prefects, and we had a couple come over. We had I'm trying to think of her name. She was a singer in a time.
Okay.
And then we had another one come over, and he was he used to do the show. I'm trying to think of his name. It's just totally gone out of my head. Michael something.
Michael and someone who used to be a singer.
Yeah.
If anyone's got a clue who she's driving at, please help us out. 0344 499 1000. I mean, we can throw a few names at you. Can you remember what she looked like?
Yes, she was tall, thin, long black hair.
Cher.
No.
Oh.
She was an English singer. I don't think she was well known, but
wasn't Marty Kane?
I'm not sure.
Oh,
I was really young. I was in primary school at that time, and then the second one was when I was in high school. I was a prefect.
All right.
And he used to do a quiz show. His name was Michael something.
Barrymore?
That's the one, yes.
Oh.
I believe you've forgotten Michael Barrymore.
I know. My brain's just not working today.
Well, thanks for giving us a little try.
Another thing as well.
Yeah.
Can you do me a big favour?
Depends what it is.
Hide your bottle.
Why?
Because every time Guardian sees it, he's just going in a rampage and it's triggering him because I have looked absolutely everywhere and I cannot get him a purple one. And every time he sees your bottle, it's like, ooh.
Wow. And what's the big deal about the purple ones? Are they...
Because he's absolutely fascinated with the colour purple. That's his favourite colour.
It's a good movie.
So, but I've tried everywhere. Waitrose, Amazon, everything.
Really?
Cannot find one. Yeah. Cannot find a purple one. All the other colours, no problem, plenty. Purple, no, sold out everywhere.
Too special. Too special, you see. It was a special edition. It wasn't. There were loads of them. No, that's not helpful to you in your plight.
No.
Anyway, I'm not moving it. He can read it and weep. Good to speak to you, Star. Take care. That's marriage.
Isn't that funny about how celebrities, just meeting a celebrity, it's like sprinkling a little fairy dust on your day. Like, it makes you feel good about yourself, or I don't know, like, it makes you feel connected.
It's always a surprise to see a celebrity out doing normal things, I think, for people.
Yeah.
Like, Iain gets caught all the time in the supermarket and they say, "What are you doing here?" And it's like, well, I've got to eat.
Yeah. Oh, I would get that sometimes on the bus or public transportation. What are you doing here? Like, aren't you in your limo? Like, no.
He's having the day off.
Yeah, he is. The driver is, he's having a nice little break.
Let's talk to Wasim. Hiya, Wasim.
Evening, Kath. How's it going?
I'm all right, thanks. How are you doing?
Evening, Katie.
Hi, Wasim.
I thought I'd be a gentleman and say evening to both of you.
Well,
I appreciate it.
Well, I think Ian's got it wrong. I think Ian's got me all wrong anyway, so...
I don't think he has. I thought you patched things up.
No, you know what it is, Kath? The reason I actually called him up, the real reason is, when he argues with people, I find it so funny, honestly. It's just, not all the arguments, but like the guy called about milk, Jack.
The guy who called about milk?
Yeah, it was a weird
conversation. I heard that clip a few times, and that was just... The way Iain reacts to things is just, oh my God, it's just priceless, I'm just wondering, how would you react to someone like Jack or Kadir or someone?
Well...
Because you seem much more calm to me.
I am quite calm, but I also don't tolerate nonsense, so you may find out at some point, but,
I actually thought I'm going to be on the block list with Iain. I thought you might block me from calling in.
Nah, you'd know about it.
Yeah. The reason I'm calling you is quite funny, because, Iain's so easy to wind up as well, because he starts arguing with you straight away. I don't think he means to, but, like sometimes you say something and then he gets the wrong end of the stick and stuff. His reactions are priceless, honestly, but I think he's a really nice guy, to be honest with you. I really like him.
Okay, well, why don't you tell him that?
I will, yeah. I think you're really cool as well. I think it's really good that you've got two women doing the show. And, I hope you guys have a good time over the next 3 days until Iain gets back.
Thanks very much, Wasim.
Yeah.
I hope you have a good time too. I mean, it's not just
nice. You see, I'm not a bad person, am I? I'm quite nice deep down.
Well, you've been very good today. Gold star. Thanks very much, Wasim.
Yeah. Totally presentable.
Completely acceptable performance from the man.
Yes.
Hello, Alan Caddick.
Sorry I'm late, girls.
Hello. That is a jolly, energetic hello.
Sorry I'm late.
It's all right.
I was busy scouring YouTube.
Oh, God, why?
I was watching an old video of the Big Breakfast.
Why?
Just to see what Chris Evans did before he was on Radio 2.
Gosh, can't you remember? How old are you?
I'm 38.
Blimey, Alan.
And I didn't know Gabby was launched into the mainstream on the Big Breakfast. Because I recognised her from when she did children's television.
Right. Why are you researching Chris Evans? I mean, it's a fine subject to research, but
Sure.
It seems a little random.
Because Katie was a pioneer of Channel 4 TV in the evenings.
Do you accept that role?
Yes, I will accept that role.
And Chris was a pioneer of mornings on Channel 4.
Gosh, yes.
And actually, both The Word and The Big Breakfast were made by the same production company, so there's certainly a link there.
Oh, very good link.
Yeah.
And I understand, going from last night, Katie, you're looking for a gentleman caller.
Yes.
I'm willing to put my hat in the ring.
Wow. And so what are your interests?
I love karaoke.
Oh, me too.
What's your favourite song on karaoke?
I love Fooled Around and Fell in Love by Elvin Bishop.
With me, my favourite one, Star Trekking by the Firm.
Yeah, he loves it so much he got banned from singing it because he was singing it too much.
Really?
Yeah.
Too much of a good thing.
Exactly, party poopers. What else do you sing when you're not allowed to sing Star Trekking?
I love any song by Queen.
Mm-hmm. It's tricky to pull off as a one-man thing, though.
It is tricky. You have to master all of those different harmonies, like multi-throat singing.
Yeah, especially Bohemian Rhapsody.
Gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
Can you do that one?
I see a little zilla with the rubber man.
Scalabush, gonna do the fandango.
Thunderbolts and lightning, very, very frightening me. Turns out, yes, you can.
That's excellent. You are a master of this.
If the word ever came back on telly, would I be on there?
I don't know. What would you do to be on telly? Or, I mean, would you... Let's go through some of the things that people did because they were desperate to be on television in that section in the Word.
Are you talking about the hopefuls?
Yeah.
So people would do things like take a bath in cow doo-doo.
Or French kissing a grandma.
Or licking a sweaty armpit.
Didn't someone drink vomit?
That was something else. That was a man who drank a beer and then he put a hose down he put like a tube down his throat and then coughed it back up. I mean, it was all variations on furballs. And there was also a man who snorted a condom through his nose and horked it out through his mouth. So yeah, what would you offer?
With me, I would drink 5 pints of your wine and snort it back through the nose.
Wow.
It's very specific.
It's very specific. And whose urine?
It would be a pig's ear wine.
Wow, Alan!
Wow. He's really going for it.
He would be a shoo-in, though, to be fair. He would definitely be accepted, wouldn't he, with that kind of...
He's had experience with a pig noo-noo in the jungle, hasn't he?
He did, but they were paying him quite a lot of money to do it, and you're offering to drink 5 pints of pig wee for nothing.
I know.
What are you like, Alan?
Yeah, but it's a stepping stone, isn't it?
Definitely. Everyone got famous out of that.
Yeah. That's always the strategy. It's like, this will lead to other things. We can't pay you.
Bring 5 pints with you.
Right.
Goodbye.
Oink, oink.
0344 499 1000, as you can hear, anything goes.
Talk radio. Listen. Phone. Talk.
Talk radio.
We'll get you talking. Brian, what's the latest transfer activity at Select Car Leasing?
Well, Jim, we've just seen a lease deal concluded for a BMW X5 that's heading to the northeast, a top-of-the-range Mercedes to the south coast, and we're just hearing that a double swoop for 2 Audi A3s to Manchester is imminent, with affordable fixed monthly payments and nationwide delivery to your door. No wonder they're a 5-star rated company with Trustpilot. Quite remarkable.
Isn't it time you transferred to a lease car? Simply visit selectcarleasing.co.uk. Select Car Leasing. A great move. Conditions apply.
What's your summer soundtrack? Lawn mowing, bee dodging, or 6-speaker touchscreen controlled DAB radio blasting. A new Corsa Energy for £150 initial rental and £150 a month. Search Corsa offers. Vauxhall, British brand since 1903.
Personal contract hire offer on Corsa 3-door Energy 1.4 75 PS in metallic paint. Initial rental £150 plus 47 months at £150. Excess miles over contracted mileage of 20,000 over 48 months charged at 9 pence per mile. Subject to availability and status. You will not own the car. 18 plus T's and C's apply. Offer ends June 30th, 2018. Vauxhall Finance Leasing.
McCafe iced drinks taste like summer feels. But what does summer feel like? My Name is Susie B says, it feels like sitting in the park, blasting some hip-hop. And Cutie Cute Face says, summer feels like driving with the top down, sunshine emoji, sunshine emoji. So, the Raspberry Ripple Ice Cooler, a cool and creamy drink with a raspberry flavour swirl, tastes like sunshine emojis. And it's only $1.99. McCafe Ice at McDonald's. Served until the 4th of September. Subject to availability, price and participation may vary.
Asteroid approaching.
Mayday, mayday. Open the airlock. Okay, keep your hair on. Right, engaging airlock. Now, where is it? This one?
Airlock engaged.
Oh, yes, come on in. Yes. What? The ship's gone.
Hey, oh, come on.
Oh, really? Your internet's gone again, is it? What's the point in playing this game if your broadband keeps going? Just get Vodafone.
You get Vodafone.
Excuse me?
Nothing.
Vodafone guarantee your home broadband speeds, or money off until it's fixed. The future's exciting. Ready? 18-month agreement subject to credit check and availability. Guaranteed minimum sync speed from your local exchange and your router, or claim money off your next bill. New and upgrading fibre customers only. For full details and terms, visit vodafone.co.uk/broadband.
Digital debate for the UK. Talk Radio. We'll get you talking.
So, we've just had our cameras adjusted. I know you can tell, can't you, through the radio, that now we're being lit like the guys from RuPaul's Drag Race.
I love the idea that we're just being blasted with a sun worth of light. Yeah. I mean, probably you can see my bones and some organs is how brightly lit
Looking good, though. They're looking a lot younger.
What my organs are? Yeah. So what is that? Is a big technique, isn't it, for the drag artiste? It's not just about slap. It's not just about contouring. It's also about the lighting.
The lighting is incredible on that show. Everyone is so brightly lit. You cannot make out any kind of line, wrinkle. They can smile. You don't see a thing, right? It's just blasting in the face. And obviously I don't normally sit in this seat. Yesterday we put out something on the Twitter feed, a video.
Yeah.
And it just occurred to me, I don't know whether it's the headphones or actually my head, but I've got a great big round pan face, with very little to speak of, contouring involved in it, and it got me thinking
about pan face.
Well, I've got I look like the moon with hair.
No, you don't.
Oh, well, thank you.
I look like a pyramid, so I'm triangular, so my jaw is really wide, and then it goes to a peanut point at the top of my head, which is covered with hair, so you don't necessarily notice that the top of the triangle.
Right. I've never looked at myself in that amount of detail before and seen myself with my face moving. You know what I mean? You must have got used to it for being on telly. Did you ever watch yourself back?
Here's the problem. I got used to seeing myself in a certain, looking in my 20s, and then as the years roll on, so that's frozen in your head, like, well, that's okay, I'm used to what that looks like. And then when I'm looking at myself in my 40s and my 40 teens, I look like a sock puppet. There's just far too much mobility in my face.
So I was looking at RuPaul's Drag Races.
Oh, yeah.
And they can work wonders with paint. I mean...
the paint.
The contouring.
What do they do?
Well, I was looking at how they draw the boobs on, and it's kind of...
Wait, did they draw the boobs on?
Yeah.
You mean those lovely ladybird blokes aren't just naturally endowed?
No, because that would be cheating. That would be cheating. So no, these are like... still got guys' frames. They're still men. And then they do this amazing transformation. You can get leg pads, which look like big shoulder pads that they stick on either side, so they get sort of lady...
Saddlebags. Yeah, exactly. They can have mine.
Oh, God, yeah, I've got to spare as well. And then they do this thing with the contouring where they'll pad up so that, they can squish whatever skin they've got up a little bit. So there is some movement
This
there.
is for breasticles.
For breasts. And then they'll do kind of a half moon shape, or... One guy described it as kind of a martini glass. So if you imagine they're drawing a V.
Okay.
To make their sort of décolletage.
It's almost like when you're a child and you learn that you can just sort of draw these upside down W's and it looks like flying birds in the distance.
Exactly like that, except this one looks like boobs.
Flying boobs in the distance.
And they use just regular makeup, and they can draw these shapes in. And if you...
Is that a good idea? I mean, it's good for far away. It's like theatrical.
Yeah. You turn to the side, and if you've got nothing there, you can tell there's nothing there.
Okay, because that's strange. But do boys, as opposed to girl boys do that to draw in six packs in show business?
And I knew a friend of mine who
the pole dart guy. Doesn't he get a 6-pack drawn on?
I'm pretty sure he probably gets enhanced. Yeah.
Yeah.
A friend of mine used to dance at the Folie Bergère.
Oh yes.
And she said that they used to draw on muscles. They used to draw on definition.
Here's where it gets a little complicated, Catherine. What if they're drawing on cleavage and 6-pack and testicle shadows? Could you draw like some shadows underneath your undercarriage in the man equipment department?
Pretty sure there's a YouTube tutorial for that. Yeah.
For that, to just kind of enhance like
everything.
Low slung.
Yeah. Curves in all the right places and a few of the wrong places. Yeah.
Crotch fruit.
But have you ever done that?
But all at once.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that kind of artistry, I find fascinating. And you see that transformation.
It's called trompe-l'oeil.
And it works on camera, but as you say, in person, it's trickier to carry off.
Certainly trickier.
But we were talking yesterday about tortured eyebrows.
Yeah.
And the contouring as well now that people are doing is like kind of stage makeup, isn't it?
Well, this is what I've noticed because I have always... Rhythm is a dancer, and so am I. I've always been a dancer and used to dance professionally. And one of the things, like the first thing that you learn when you're a teenager is how to enhance everything theatrically. So you learn all these crazy techniques, like you put red dots in the corners of your eyes, and that's supposed to make the whites of your eyes really pop. And it's just really kind of old-fashioned 1940s ballet makeup, and you see it in films like The Red Shoes. But nowadays, you see the Kardashians and their ilk, and they're wearing like practically 1940s ballet makeup or stripper makeup.
Yeah.
And they might have six-pack painted on their stomachs.
Pretty sure they would.
Yeah.
They are wearing full stage makeup
At
to
all
walk
times.
down the street, yeah.
To walk down the street.
But it's got to the point now where everyone's got an identical face. It's almost like they spray paint them on from the same template.
Yeah, it is. There's probably some stencils that you can buy at a craft store.
I did buy some eyebrow stencils once.
Did you?
Yeah.
How do you know where to put them? Like, you're going to change you're just going to look angry or surprised all the time depending on where you put those stencils.
This is the genius of them, right? This is like the early days of online shopping. It's one of the first things I found. These eyebrow stencils, and you could buy Liz Taylor's eyebrows, Grace Kelly eyebrows.
They need their eyebrows.
Yeah.
Don't take their eyebrows.
But all you would do is like tape them to your face and then go in with powder to create this shape. Okay, well, yeah, but you look like you've got powdered eyebrows. It was not a natural look at all.
Well, the other thing is, to go with Liz Taylor's eyebrows, you need Liz Taylor's eyes and the rest of her face. I mean, because you just can't mix and match. There was that famous performance artist. I think she was working in the 70s. Her name escapes me, but she did a project whereby she has assembled tear sheets of all the great beauties, so Mona Lisa and Venus de Milo and all of these different figures, and then she went to the plastic surgeon and she said, hey, I'd like Mona Lisa's smile, and I'd really like Aphrodite emerging from the waves. I'd like to have her eyebrows. And so she had this hodgepodge, and of course it was a pick and mix mess. It was not successful.
Did she look like a photo fit by the end?
She looked like a photo fit. So that's a good way to put it. I'm going to look up her name. I think it was like Orlean or something. She might still be going. But photo fit is kind of where we're at now, because people are trying to get the bottom of a famous pre-Columbian statue, and then they're trying to get some eyebrows that belong to RuPaul.
I don't get the bum thing at all at the moment.
I'm happy. I welcome the bum thing because I've always been packing heat in that department. Yeah.
But the bums are crazy though, because they've got decent sized rears, but then they kind of nip the waist in to the point where you think, all right, that's not your bum, that's some sort of bolt on.
It could be a bolt on. It could be a feature. Yeah, it's problematic though, isn't it? Because you do hear about those back street hindquarter enhancers where they're just, what are they doing there?
Didn't someone get killed because this woman was pumping them full of concrete?
I didn't hear about the concrete. I just heard it was like petroleum byproducts, and it was things. It was like ship sludge, and didn't have. And then of course, it doesn't stay put. She did sort of inject it into the bumular region, but then it just sailed around the body and probably entered the brain, and that was the end of it.
We might as well just bring in the rule that we brought in yesterday when we were talking about Gwyneth Paltrow steaming and inserting things where the sun don't shine. Just stop messing with it, for God's sake.
I think a little messing is fun, but things like eyebrows. I don't know what it is about eyebrows. People get going on eyebrows, and then they just don't stop.
No. I think once you start,
too late.
I also think if you stare at anything long enough, it's going to look weird.
Yeah.
So maybe go and do something else for a while. Hey, Jerry.
Hello.
Katie.
Hi.
You're sounding good.
Thanks very much. How are you doing, Jerry?
Just sat down so much to it.
Have you been running?
No. I've got Parkinson's, I just sound a bit mental sometimes.
Yeah. Your phone line is awful.
Oh, Jesus, these crappy things you keep buying.
Oh, that's better. Keep your mouth where it was.
Okay, is that better?
Yeah, just a bit.
Much better breathing.
Yeah.
What's wrong with that for
string twinkles at night. So, how are you doing?
I'm all right. How are you dealing with this heat, Jerry?
I'm okay. I've got the Parkinson's. I need to come out tomorrow.
Yeah.
Have a check-up on me.
Good.
Something going on.
Good.
See you. I'm a bit bad tonight, but it should be all right.
All right. Well, listen, we're finding it a bit hard to understand you so much, Jerry.
I hate you for example. I saw on TV years ago.
Yeah, she was.
Yep, that was me. Correctly identified. Guilty as charged.
Hey, see you later. I'm just having a bit of a weird moment.
All right. Bye. No problem. Thanks, Jerry. Take care of yourself.
Okay.
Jerry's got Parkinson's and he's been living in sheltered accommodation. He's only in his 40s.
Oh, wow.
And this heat really plays merry hell with, tremors and stuff like that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So some days the speech is better than others, but it's cool because we've got this relationship with Jerry where we can say,
Yeah.
I tell you what works brilliantly with Jerry sometimes.
What?
If he sings.
Oh, so then that sort of
breath control.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, it's really cool. I don't know what it is. I guess it's the same thing as, do you remember Gareth Gates used to find it easy to sing?
Yes.
And then he kind of he was taught this technique where it's kind of that kind of breathing in first and then breathing out in one breath like you would when you're singing to speak, and he's managed to master his stammer.
Well, that's interesting. I met a woman recently whose brother has cancer, and he's increasingly unable to speak. He kind of has phases in and out, and I don't know what kind of cancer it is, but he can sing. So what she does is that for treats, she brings over musicians, and they have a good old, Irish knees up. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's really great. If you want to give us a ring, 0344 499 1000. G's given us a ring, and I bet I know what he's ringing about. Okay. You're not having my bottle, G.
Hello, this boss. No, I wasn't actually ringing in about the bottle because I'm already triggered enough about that.
Okay, we better not mention it then.
I was actually ringing in to let you know that when my wife rang in,
yes,
she mistook Michael Barrymore for Cliff Richard.
What? Wow, that's
a thing to do.
That is a really bizarre trajectory, and especially since she said Michael.
Yeah. she had a complete brain fart and just completely misunderstood. So I just thought I'd ring in and let you know that it was Cliff Richard that she met.
Now,
who is a bigger star than Michael Barrymore.
But why did you need to tell us that? You could have protected her. She could have got away with it. No one would ever have known. Okay, it's a little bit bullshine, but, you're supposed to be on the same team, G.
I married her. Protection out the window.
So is that part of the marriage vows? So you're busting her, though. You're busting her chops on this.
Yeah, straight out the water. Just simply because she thought she got it right, and I love being right.
Oh, gee.
Well, I'm interested in
exactly what she said. Oh, gee.
What was Cliff Richard up to? What was he doing? So this is the celebrity she met when she was a teenager?
Yeah, the 15-year-old.
Trolling school.
Oh. Right. He was probably making a special appearance and lifting the young people's spirits.
I've cut G off before he says something incriminating.
Yes.
Because as is his wont.
Yes.
But that selling of selling out of Star there has just reminded me of something we were discussing briefly before the show.
Yes.
Which is, the eternal battle for supremacy that is a relationship.
Yeah. There's an interesting story today by Hannah Betts in the Evening Standard magazine, and it is about the IQ gap in relationships. So, are you smarter than your partner? How does it stack up? Did you willingly and knowingly enter into a relationship with a big old dummy, or did you purposefully seek out somebody smarter than yourself? And she goes on to say, this is Hannah Betts, she's talking about the fact that she's kind of a big old smarty pants, and so's her husband. And she said that, this is from the article, she said, when we met, he told me that he was about to embark upon an M.A. in literary theory at Cambridge. I replied that I used to teach literary theory at Oxford. And apparently on date 3, I suddenly remarked, hold on, I've just realized that you think you're cleverer than me. So this is obviously two people who are quite positional. But it does make me think about the fact that some people are totally happy with being with somebody who's not very smart.
Mm-hmm.
But then that puts them in this kind of My Fair Lady, Henry Higgins, constant position of schooling somebody, which I've been in that position before, and it's exhausting. I don't like it.
It's exhausting.
I don't want to be smarter than the person
And also,
that I'm with.
I don't know about you, because I've been in this position in the past. Not that I'm super bright, but, when you just realise that the other person isn't quite on the same page. Thankfully, normally they're more grounded and down to earth and, common sense smart than I am, because my head's often in the clouds. But that moment when you go, I can't talk to you about books or the films I like or anything like that, because you're just not lit by these things,
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot to be said for the other person's picking up the slack on some qualities that you don't possess. So like you said, if you're a little airy-fairy and somebody else is more grounded and practical, and that's fine. But when they don't share a curiosity about the things that you're curious about, it's hard to spark off of each other. And one of the things that gets me is when somebody doesn't share my frame of reference. And that's kind of built into the deal when you're with someone who's considerably younger than you.
Yeah.
And this is often a paradigm that you find with older men and younger women. And it seems like, it's kind of the classic cliche where, when the guy's on his second wife or whatever, or, he's having his second childhood and he has that yellow Jaguar, but he does line up a bright young thing, or perhaps not so bright. And if I've ever had some sort of festive night out or some sort of romantic inclination with somebody who's younger, a lot younger, or doesn't share the same references, you spend all your time together going, oh, well, it was this movie that was out, or it was this TV show, or World War II was this big fight that we were in with the Germans.
Yeah. Or you give up and you go and find that part of things elsewhere, and that's where the trouble starts.
Well, that's when the trouble starts.
Have you ever worked with someone who's significantly less bright than you are? Apart from today. Hi, Iain.
I haven't.
Iain's on the phone.
Iain.
What is this? What is this?
What? Nothing? How are you doing? Aren't you on holiday? What are you doing?
Yeah, what are you doing?
I'm just right. Here's the thing. So I'm in America to see the Monkees. I'm going to see them tomorrow night, and I'm seeing them Saturday night.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm getting divorced, and I'm buying a house, and money is really, really tight. And my therapist said you should go to New York. It'd be really good for you. And it's cost me like £2,000 with the hotel and the travel. And I've literally just woken up to find out they've cancelled the rest of the tour.
What?
So, I was wondering two things. One, can we do like a GoFundMe to try and get me my money back? And two, Katie, you're sounding great. I'm going to ask you to go home now. Catherine, if you could budge over one seat.
Why?
I'm already booked in for the duration.
I'm back. You don't need to, honestly. Katie, get an Uber. Just budge round one, and we'll do nonsense. What's your favourite B-side, guys?
Man,
it's cool now.
It's just tough tits, man, because you went over there. You went over there for fun times. You will have fun times, and we don't want you back until you've had them. I don't care if it's monkey related or not. Could you go forth and smile and talk to people and stuff?
What's this? Why did they cancel their tour, Iain?
I don't know. I've just had a little doze, and I've just woken up, and I've just been on Facebook, and it's cancelled, and I think they're saying that one of them is ill, and and I wish them all well and stuff, and everyone's going, oh God, I wish them well, and thank God the tickets are being rescheduled for January. I can't afford to come back in January. I'm broke.
Oh, mate.
So I might move over to New York and live here. Anyway.
What have you been doing how long have you been in New York? Like one day?
I've been in New York for 19 hours.
Okay.
And I've done a lot. I've been to Atlantic Records. I went and looked around Atlantic Records. I've been to a Chinese restaurant owned by an old Hong Kong movie star who made films with Bruce Lee. I've been to some record stores, and I've had 2 doses. And I'm just off to meet my friend Imani, and we're going to get the Staten Island ferry. So
that's good.
I'm living the tourist dream.
Yes, you are.
Bad news about the monkeys, though, eh? Bad news about the monkeys.
Oh, listen to you with your tongue firmly in your cheek, Boyle. I know you. Anyway, you two are getting way too much love on Twitter, so just, can you both be a little bit crapper, please, in what you're doing? You know, just tone down the skills a little bit, please.
All right, mate.
Wouldn't mind.
All right, mate. Up your bum. Thank you very much indeed. I've always wanted to be able to cut that guy off, and today I've achieved my dream. I mean, sometimes you just strive for things, and it lands in your lap.
Yeah.
0344 499 1000.
Across the UK, online and on DAB. Access all radios.
Talk Radio. Give it some lip.
Brighten up your mornings and take a brilliant break with Mike Graham on Talk Radio with the Sun Holiday Shop. Great value breaks all year round. Listen to Talk Radio every weekday morning from 10 for 3 hours packed full of fabulous features, great value guests and quick-fire calls on all of the day's top talking points. Don't miss Mike Graham every weekday morning from 10 on Talk Radio with the Sun Holiday Shop. Great value breaks all year round. Go to thesun.co.uk/holiday shop.
Up here on Ben Nevis, it's millions of years since the volcano was active. But Sky Vegas bonus time, well, that firecracker's active right now.
Between 9 and 11 every night, our unmissable bonus game is guaranteed to trigger in Sky Vegas bonus time. Only at Sky Vegas. Unexpect more. 18 plus, ends 3rd of July. Customers must be playing when bonus games randomly triggered. Minimum 20p stake. 3 spins must be claimed and used by midnight. Eligibility restrictions and further T's and C's apply. BeGambleAware.org. When the fun stops, stops.
This is the sound of breakfast in bed. It's nice to feel valued. We're with you. So join British Gas Rewards today for loads of ways to feel valued, including free energy days. British Gas Rewards. Join today. Terms and conditions apply.
Winston Wolfe, Direct Line. You're Harry the plumber.
Yeah?
A successful small businessman like yourself needs protection. Meet Lars and Vlad. They're big.
Hello!
Big shot lawyers, that is. See, they create and check legal documents that you can download. So you're covered. And this legal document service comes with your Direct Line insurance.
Wow! Yeah! Direct Line's public liability insurance includes a legal document service. Can your insurance do that? Search Direct Line Public Liability Insurance. New and existing customers underwritten by UK Insurance Limited.
To the McCulloch man, his McCulloch lawnmower is like the finest footballers across Europe coming together to get the job done. And the morning challenge of the tough, unruly grass facing him, that's like the local pub team. Pathetic. He'll cut them down to size long before the midday kickoff. Game over. Get your McCulloch lawnmower and other garden power tools at good DIY stores nationwide or at McCulloch.com. McCulloch, the power to get the job done.
Afternoons with Jamie East on Talk Radio.
Investigate the unlimited possibilities of speech radio at Eastworld.
What is the best piece of gossip that you have ever heard at Salford Business School?
The radio show that questions the very nature of our reality. What makes us human? Why do we sin?
My goodness me, if these walls could talk.
Where can I get a pair of glasses like Jamie's for under a £5?
Eastworld with Jamie East.
It's a bit of a national favourite.
Tomorrow afternoon from 1 on Talk Radio.
Across the UK, online and on DAB.
Talk Radio. We'll get you talking.
So coming up in about 15 minutes' time, we're going to be going across the pond again to New York, but this time not to a disappointed Monkees fan, but to a woman who is extraordinary. She's one half of a two-woman team that do a podcast that I've become completely addicted to called The Oldest Profession. And her name is Katelyn Bailey. And she is a comedian. She's been a Starbucks barista, and she's also a sugar baby.
What does that mean?
It means she's a sex worker who she'll explain it probably better than I can, but from what I gather, what it involves is having a monthly arrangement with a much older, much wealthier guy who will keep you, basically.
Right.
In return for companionship, which may or may not be sexual in nature.
Right.
So that's what she does. And she does this podcast. She's also like this amazing kind of amateur historian who goes into the history of sex work throughout the ages. And it goes right back to sort of pre-biblical times and then sort of bounces around. She talks about some celebrities you might not know who've either dabbled or had a fairly lengthy career in sex work. And how it kind of reflects on standards as they've grown through the ages. Like, for example, prostitution started out in some cases in temples in sort of pre-biblical times, where women were actually quite powerful because of the power of, you know, of their sexuality. But there were kind of grades of such. There were women who were in charge of stuff, but there were also women who, of course, were slaves, really.
Right.
But also the sort of level of shame attached to sex work as well has changed throughout the ages. When those powerful women became a threat or a challenge because they were financially independent and could do what they wanted to, and also had plenty of dirt on some really powerful figures.
I mean, that's the whole Heidi Fleiss situation,
Boom.
isn't it?
They got knocked down, you know, and they would find ways to make them, you know, socially pariahs or criminal in some cases.
Well, I mean, that's the thing about the good old bad old days, is that women didn't have a lot of wiggle room in terms of being the masters or mistresses of their own destiny, but they could use what the good Lord gave them, and if they chose to, they could parlay that into a pretty good career.
Yeah, there's a story I was reading, I was listening to on the way in, one of their podcasts. It was a Greek woman who was, I can't remember what the term is for it. Anyway, she was a courtesan in classical Greek times. And, you know, she played hardball, literally. She ended up with loads and loads of power, to the point where she was financially very wealthy. And when the wall of Thebes was brought down by some general or other, she offered to pay for it to go back up, on the proviso that they would put some sort of graffiti on it saying that this was paid for by, I can't remember what her name was, but, you know, whatever her name is, the whore, you know. And of course they said, no, we'd rather find the money elsewhere.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because they didn't want her immortalised.
Well, the branding, you know, she was a branding savant. I mean, that was the way in the American Old West as well, when there was the gold rush and you had westward expansion and you had miners and chancers and people trying to make a quick buck, and they'd set up these shanty towns, and then you'd have these very entrepreneurial ladies who would come out and set up a cat house, and they knew that they could, you know, make hay while the sun shined, and it turns out that they would accrue a lot of political power, and, you know, they would kind of be the town's madam and also the town's mayor, because just as you said, they knew all the secrets.
Yeah, and actually one of the characters that they look at, and one of the figures they look at, not necessarily a character.
In this podcast.
Yeah, is Big Nose Kate, who was running with kind of Doc Holliday, I think, at one point.
Okay.
So,
yes.
Women who've played a really sort of pivotal part in history, or kind of are all detailed in this podcast, and it's done in a really kind of sweary, loud, funny, you know, horrible histories with filth attached way, and it's very, very entertaining. But one of those things where you listen to it and you think, I've got to listen to that again, because there's so much detail in there that I didn't get, you know?
Yeah, it's fun because they're like very unbuttoned and vulgar and just filled with joie de vivre. Yeah. What
they are, and they keep saying it, is, you know, unashamed whores, you know, and that's something that was seen as being absolutely out of the ordinary, and something to be crushed throughout history. And they're trying to sort of take away that stigma, and trying to get involved in politics, and trying to defend fellow sex workers, some of whom are not as fortunate as they are. You know, there are women still who are being trafficked, but they want to kind of bust the myth that everyone that is involved in sex work these days is a victim.
Yeah, that's interesting to me, because I can't get my head around the fact that a woman would choose to do that for a living. So that's what I found really interesting about hearing Katelyn and who is it, Wendy?
Yeah, Wendy.
Talking about it, and they're very sex positive, and they're very positive about being sex workers, and you know, just that idea that this transaction is not something that would make you feel creepy or used, and so I find that fascinating. I mean, just from kind of an outsider.
Exactly. It's not, you know, it's not a world that we're familiar with, of course, but
because the only thing I always hear about is, you know, you hear about people who are trafficked and
tricked.
And sex slavery. So the idea that that you would choose to do it, and it would be no skin off your nose, or even such a thing as you know, dancing, stripping for a living.
Yeah.
You know, that seems to me like I would feel very vulnerable doing that.
Well, they cover the whole, like, kind of gamut of different sex industry jobs, you know, so it's not all about people who have sex for money. I mean, I think Wendy started off selling her knickers.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, but I just find their honesty refreshing, and their social conscience is there, and she's a great character, and we're going to be speaking to her about 11 o'clock.
Great.
But I have a little clip here just to give you, just to wet your whistles back home.
Okay.
Coming coming up on the oldest profession. So, this tutor brings her to the Inquisition. The Inquisition, of course, has taken over Venice because of the plague, right? Okay. So after the plague happens, people are like, why did God make this happen? And the Inquisition is like, we can pretend we know the answer. So, like, that's what's happening.
Okay, dumb question.
Sure.
What the is the Inquisition? Here's how I know the Inquisition is, because in Monty Python, Holy Grail, in Monty Python they go, no one expects the Spanish Inquisition. That's how I know that. So I hear that and I giggle and I'm like, okay, so Inquisition. So what?
The Inquisition is basically like the enforcement arm of the Catholic Church on steroids. So after the Protestant Reformation, right, the Catholic Church starts to get real nervous. Because before the Protestants, the Catholic Church was like the empire of Europe. They controlled everything. So you have these little princes and these little kings and all of that stuff. But all of those people are ruling by divine right, as established and enforced by the Catholic Church. When the Protestant Reformation happens, the Catholic Church is like, we gotta start murdering heretics. We gotta get rid of the anti-Catholic people because they're getting uppity, basically. Yeah. So the territories that they control, they go in and they look for heretics to murder. It ends up, of course, being your regular scapegoats, homosexuals, uppity women. We call them witches. So this is part of like the witch burning phrase that happens. But
because with the witchcraft thing, that's crazy. We're just like, it's like now, anytime you're upset, they're like, you're on your period, or you're like, whatever. It's like you can't. Well,
the witchcraft was catch-all for like what's wrong with you as a woman.
Yeah. You're a witch? No. I'm a bitch.
Do you want to have too much sex? Do you not want to have enough sex? It's probably the devil.
Yeah.
And that's what we're going to get. We're going to be talking after 11 o'clock. It's so interesting.
I love this whole uppity women idea as well. I want to get into that with her.
Definitely, but it's that kind of unashamed thing. A woman who's standing on her own 2 feet and she's not ashamed of the fact that she's a dirty mare. You know, that whole idea of cleanliness and dirtiness, and, you know, how throughout history, you know, the wife has been the one that you want to keep her pure because she's having your children and you want to be sure they're all your kids. Meanwhile, you're going off to seek your entertainment elsewhere from someone who, you know, in some cases, you know, when you're talking about courtesans, for example, they were referring there to a courtesan in Venice who climbed the ladder but actually ended up dying in poverty because she got undone in the end.
Yes.
She was, you know, she was an intelligent, well-read woman who was hosting these kind of salons where men would go to be entertained, and sort of the geisha fashion.
Yeah, a totally sophisticated woman of the world.
Yeah. So they were finding their sort of fulfillment in 2 different places.
Yes.
And I just find it absolutely fascinating. Of course, that's the kind of one end of things, and there is a dark side to it too, and they address that too. And this whole idea that throughout history, when you know, big authority figures have come in, they've always wanted to crush the minorities. So we're talking about, you know, homosexual men, ethnic minorities, and as they say, uppity women.
Yeah.
So
it's all about control, isn't it? Yeah. It's a funny thing because, of course, there's, I was going to say remnants of that today, but it's probably bigger chunks of the pie than just a remnant. For
example, did you know until 2015, if you got arrested on suspicion of being a streetwalker in New York, if you had more than 3 condoms in your pocket, that was considered proof.
What?
Yes.
Wow.
Because that's a really old rule.
And forget...
What kind of nice woman would want more than 3 condoms?
Yeah, I mean, forget safe sex and forget, like, you know, you don't want to get some sort of disease or something. And you might enjoy sex and you might be having a snoot full of hot monkey love that night. Yeah, I mean, I just remembered when I was a teenager and talking to my dad about, you know, wanting to go into show business or, you know, wanting to be a performer. And he was an older dad. I'm the youngest out of 4. And, but he had some old world ideas about, well, you know, you got to be careful because you know what they say about actresses. No, Dad, what do they say about actresses? Well, you know, they're practically the same thing as prostitutes. And I guess back in ye olden days, the old, who was, the orange seller that was the, Nell, the orange seller in the theater. I mean, she was supposedly a prostitute. I guess she was, and then an actress, and it's all the same thing because if you're going to display yourself on the stage, you're kind of touting for business,
but as
right?
Katelyn will tell you, a lot of working class women ended up turning tricks to get by because what else are you going to do?
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to work as a barista at Starbucks in 1708.
Anyway, that's coming up after the news. You're welcome to phone in, though, whenever you want, about whatever you want. 0344 499 1000. You're listening to Talk Radio. I'm Katherine Boyle.
I'm Katie Puckrik.
It is.
Talk Radio. Digital debate for the UK.
Talk Radio.
We'll get you talking.
1 2 1 2. Music's always best when it's live. Same as Sky Vegas bonus time. That baby's live right now.
Between 9 and 11 every night, our unmissable bonus game is guaranteed to trigger in Sky Vegas bonus time. Only at Sky Vegas. Unexpect more. 18 plus, ends 3rd of July. Customers must be playing when bonus games randomly triggered. Minimum 20p stake. Free spins must be claimed and used by midnight. Eligibility restrictions and further T's and C's apply. BeGambleAware.org. When the fun stops, stop.
If you're hearing this, you're probably driving to work. You've done it so long you're not even thinking about it. You're on cruise control, but your career doesn't have to be. Maybe there's an off-ramp leading to a higher salary, better opportunities and, well, a shorter commute. Indeed.com has all the tools like job alerts, company pages and salary comparison to help put you squarely back in the driver's seat of your career. So turn off the cruise control. Steer your career with Indeed. You've got this. Indeed, the world's #1 job site. World's #1 job site according to Comscore total visits March 2017.
Cast your mind back and think, were you ever contacted out of the blue for a pension review? Were you advised to move your work or personal pension into a SIP, self-invested personal pension?
Yes, I was.
You could be due thousands if you were missold. Money Redress are trusted claim specialists in pension and investment mis-selling. They'll manage the whole claim for you on a no payout, no fee basis, so you can't lose. Text WIN to 85077.
We've got it at Selco. Selco is where the trade go.
At Selco Builders Warehouse, we've got real deals on a wide range of trade quality building products. In June, we've got a 6x5 foot close board fence panel for only £16.85 ex VAT. Now that's a real deal. We've got even more real deals at Selco Builders Warehouse. For more information, see selcobw.com.
We've got it at Selco. Selco is where the trade go.
Service.
New Muller spreadable?
Made with real churned butter for a creamy taste. Perfect on my canapes.
It's so Muller-licious. Lose the toppings. It's so good all by itself.
Hey!
New Muller spreadable. Muller, official spreadable of British Athletics.
Available only at selected Tesco stores, subject to availability.
Across the UK, online and on DAB.
Talk Radio, on the hour news headlines.
Good evening, I'm Carl Hartley. Charlotte Caldwell, whose 12-year-old son had his medicinal cannabis oil confiscated at Heathrow Airport, insists there's no time to waste for the government to review the use of the drug.
In 30 days, we should be able to put this across the line for all the other children. We should be able to move quite quickly on this now. These kids need the medicine now. These kids are dying.
Billy needs medicinal cannabis to help him survive his epilepsy. His mum told Talk Radio how it helps.
What I would say is it is controlling his seizures, hence giving him a better quality of life. And the second thing I would say, Billy is also on the highest spectrum of autism, and the 19 months that Billy has been using medicinal cannabis, I have started to see an improvement with his autistic traits as well.
In other news, the Chancellor is speaking publicly for the first time about the need for higher taxes to pay for an NHS funding boost in England. Philip Hammond is using his annual Mansion House speech to explain that taxpayers will have to contribute a bit more. Melania Trump is visiting a migrant camp for children separated from their parents. Her people insist her husband didn't ask her to go after criticism of his hardline stance on families being split up at the border. He's agreed to stop that, but he's still blaming others for the situation.
I mean, we're getting some real beauties. Mexico is doing nothing for us except taking our money and sending us drugs. They're doing nothing. They could solve this problem in 2 minutes. You wouldn't even have to do anything.
Two key business groups are welcoming new details about the process for EU nationals to stay in the UK after Brexit. From this autumn, it'll cost £65 to apply for status to remain here, and officials say they won't be looking to reject applications. The British Chambers of Commerce and Confederation of British Industry says it offers reassurance for staff and companies. And in sport, Argentina are in big danger of going out in the World Cup group stages after a 3-0 defeat to Croatia. Croatia. The result leaves them third in Group D on just a point and sends Croatia into the last 16. Now tonight most places will be dry with clear skies. Tomorrow fine with warm sunshine for most, but cloudier in the west.
Across the UK, online and on DAB.
Talk Radio. Get more passionate debate, more outspoken opinion, and more digital debate for the UK. Your voice counts. Get it heard on Talk Radio. We'll get you talking.
You're listening to the Late Night Alternative. I'm Katherine Boyle, and that is
Katie Puckrik.
And we are talking about old pros. We're going to be speaking in a second to one of the women behind my new favourite podcast, the Old Pro Podcast, or the Oldest Profession Podcast, to give it its proper name. And I'll tweet you links and stuff as soon as we finish, because if you're into history at all, if you're into the history of humanity, because it's not just about women, it's largely about women, but not just about women. And if you've wondered about the social morality behind sex work and the changing attitudes towards it, come on, we're all curious. This is the podcast for you. We'll speak to her in a second, but I just want to go quickly to Paul. Hi, Paul.
Hello. Hi, Kath. Hi, Katie.
Hi. What's going on, Paul?
Hi. I'm just following up regarding the conversations that you've been having, really. Just I saw something a while back about, it was about beer workers in, like, the old days, etc. They used to kind of have pointed hats. They used to keep a cat to keep the sort of rats away from the barrels and things. And they were obviously really independent women, and they made loads of money.
Yeah.
And so therefore, basically, sort of they attached the idea of them being witches and stuff like that, really. They made a fortune. So they were completely sort of independent, and that's kind of why we got this idea of the witch with the pointed hat and the cat and all that stuff. So that's something I'd sort of read. And the other thing I wanted to sort of mention was the fact that you talked about actresses and sort of the links with the sort of the oldest trade and all that kind of thing. And I read something about Charlie Chaplin's mother, who ended up with syphilitic dementia. And what happened was she'd gone over as an actress and a singer on stage, and she'd been sent over to entertain people in South Africa. And when she'd gone over to entertain everyone, she was basically sort of found out the other side that it was just basically a prostitution ring.
Oh.
Completely used up over there, and came back completely sort of distraught. Managed to marry a guy called, I think it was Sidney Chaplin. I know the name of the son, Sydney as well, but basically sort of that was the start of how she ended up in the workhouses and things like that. So it's just been going on a long time, hasn't it?
Yeah, I'm really interested about that first story about the
pointed hats.
Well, the fact that these women were independent, they had a way to support themselves, they had power because they weren't dependent on a man, and then that was a threat. Mm-hmm. So then they had to sort of be demonized.
And I guess the thing about that as well is that even children in those ages would have been drinking beer, so this person was kind of like your go-to person.
Because it was cleaner than water.
Yes.
Absolutely, so it's kind of like, that person then becomes, like you say, a threat, because they're the one who's making all the cash.
Wow.
And the power that would go with that, and then basically sort of demonize them over a period of time. So eventually, we get to Halloween, there's all this sort of like, the little pointed hats and all these other things, but basically it was sort of the beer trade, from what I'd read, so.
Good shout, Paul, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Very interesting.
I'm liking the show anyway.
Thanks very much, we're liking you.
Yeah.
Yes, thanks a lot.
Thank you, bye. If you want to give us a ring, 0344 499 1000, but right now we're going to cross over to Katelyn Bailey. Hello, Katelyn.
Hi, Katelyn.
Hello, how are you guys?
Oh my God, I'm so excited to talk to you.
This is great.
Thank you so much for having me. I love that caller, too, because it's like, Charlie Chaplin's mom got sent over as an actress and then, discovered that it was a brothel ring.
Yeah.
Unlike, maybe just discovering that we've been underpaying actresses this whole fucking time. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Right. There's so many great stories, and I love your podcast, and I love the fact that you are fruity with your language, but I just got to tell you that we can't say F or C, or, we've got to be a bit careful on the radio. But it's all groovy.
Sorry, I'm used to podcasts.
I know, and I love it, and that's part of the joy of it, because it's free. No, it's cool. So talk to me about how you got involved with this podcast, because it is just so refreshing to hear two women completely proud and talking about history, but also the way you relate it to the modern times is just brilliant.
Yeah, it's interesting, actually. So I've been a stand-up comic for 8 years, and I worked as an old pro, on again, off again, which is how most people do the oldest profession, in and out. And I was a history major, and I wasn't using my degree, and I kept doing podcasts and interviews and running into just so much willful misinformation about what sex work is and what its history is. And when I started to dig into it, I realized that was by design. We've been erasing not just sex worker history, but women's history for thousands of years now. And so I just started talking about it.
I love the fact that you're trying to bust myths with this one. You know, you're trying to push forward this idea that sex work is work, and so that women deserve to be respected, and it's not something they should be ashamed of, and also that it should be a way for women to take control of their lives if that's the way they want to do it. But also kind of busting the myth that every sex worker is a victim, because that's something that does get peddled a lot, and some are, aren't they?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, the full spectrum exists. Something that I say about sex work a lot is that sex work is a lot like sex and also a lot like work, and that it's all kinds of people doing all kinds of things for all kinds of reasons and having all kinds of feelings about it. So, you know, that's been this idea of women being kidnapped and forced into a kind of slave trade is a piece of propaganda that started in England in the 1860s with the Contagious Diseases Act and the suffrage temperance movement there, and all in the United States in the 1890s. So it's like the progressive era of both of our country's histories started peddling this idea of white slavery almost as a response to the feminist movement that was happening. And a lot of white middle-class suffragettes got caught up in that rhetoric and ended up, dare I say, sort of like appropriating is probably the wrong word, but being fooled into peddling this myth of women's helplessness as they were peddling for more independence.
Yeah, one of the first part of your podcasts I heard was about the woman who was a working woman. She kind of went in and out of sex work, as a lot of working women did, because, you know, if you end up with no husband to support you, then what the hell are you supposed to do? It's not like you can go and work at Starbucks for every weekend and try and make some money up. So she ends up in this.
As somebody who worked at Starbucks, you can't feed yourself doing that either.
And I love the fact that you say that your worst job was at Starbucks, and you've done all kinds of things since.
It was certainly my most exploitative job.
But this woman ended up in a lock hospital where they're treating people with mercury, which, you know, and also gets framed for syphilis. Tell me about that woman. I can't remember what her name was.
Her name was Harriet Hicks, and really she's just one of many examples of the Contagious Diseases Act that was passed in port towns in England as an effort to combat syphilis, because I forget what war y'all were in, but there was a war, and there's always a war. And people realized that syphilis was having a negative impact on the British fighting force, but rather than testing soldiers, they decided that it would be easier to round up quote-unquote loose women by army bases and subject them to mandatory STD tests, which, of course, in the 1860s is just a doctor looking at you and deciding whether or not your genitalia looks slutty.
And this is where they invented the speculum, is that right?
Yes, this is when they invented the speculum, yes. Yes. And so I think that women who have subjected themselves to gynecological exams have always deeply suspected that it was a form of torture. And you're right, that was what it was for. It was for punishing women who had the audacity to be out in public. And of course, as we know from the Black Lives Matter movement and police brutality, the basic personality trait or the basic police officers have not changed that much over the course of the centuries. So they've mostly been a force of social control. And so, you're putting police officers in absolute control over any working class woman who, the police officer says that you are a prostitute. How are you going to prove that you are not?
Yeah, and the doctors would back them up most of the time.
Yeah, oh, absolutely, of course.
And Katelyn, the thing that I'm interested in the fact that you talk about overall when you're looking at sex workers throughout history, it really is about controlling these women and shutting them down and silencing their voices, uppity women, as you call them.
Absolutely uppity women, and I think that, like, sex workers are you allowed to say whore? Is that a cuss word?
Yeah, no, it's not a cuss
badge of honor. Okay, good. I was like, I don't know what the rules are, because I don't follow any of them. But I think it's interesting that the role of whore has often been used to limit the freedom of movement and freedom of expression of all women, because you pick out this supposed like subclass. And pick them out and say this is unacceptable. Except that if you go back through history and you look at like what the definition of a whore is in the medieval period, it's just a woman that is having literally any kind of sex outside of marriage. Whether there was or not there was an exchange, it was irrelevant to the definition. And then later you see that the definition of whore is a public woman, a woman who puts herself in public. And we see that on display now when Donald Trump called Hillary Clinton a nasty woman during the second debate. Mm-hmm. He was really calling her a whore, and what he was really chastising her for, which has been the original sin of sex workers, was having the audacity to take your life on its own terms and to go out there and violate social mores and speak your mind. Because historically, sex workers have been the most vocal feminists, the most vocal women out there intruding into male spaces because they don't have a husband to obey, and they've already violated the social mores. So they're the freest women in any given culture when you look back in history.
And the attitude, you say, that people like Donald Trump, but let's go to Trump in particular, makes what happened with Stormy Daniels and the fact that most people got behind her and were not going to be, turned against her because of the fact that she'd been a sex worker. That makes it all the sweeter, doesn't it?
It does make it all the sweeter, and I'm so excited about what's happening with the Stormy Daniels narrative, as she's become sort of a darling of the left, and we are forcing journalists to sort of re-examine the language that they use with sex workers because they don't want to repeat the old trope. Like Rudy Giuliani said, she's a prostitute, therefore why would you listen to her? And of course my response is like, Donald Trump is a liar. Why would you
Precisely.
listen to him? But it doesn't have the same kind of weight. For reasons that I think betray a deep misogyny in our culture.
Yeah, I mean, it's using that term to make someone less than. And
yes.
And actually, this is a woman who's got absolutely nothing to lose.
Yes.
And also, the other thing is, she's so happy. She's at the top of her game.
She owns it.
Yeah, she owns it, and she is in charge of her life, and this is her business. I mean, this is good for her business.
Yeah, it's not a revelation.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No, she's gotten comfortable with her status as a sex worker long before this Trump incident happened, which I think is something that we should be seeing more of. I would love to see a sex worker rights movement mirror the tactics of the LGBT movement, because I think that stigma silences and silence isolates. We believed 50 years ago that, gay people were mentally ill and, had like mommy issues and were this like sort of sad, terrible group of people that you wouldn't wish that condition on your worst enemy. And the reason that myth was able to exist was because the stigma around coming out as homosexual was so much that nobody did. So nobody knew how many perfectly reasonable, totally functioning gay people that they knew.
Yeah, family members.
If we did it, yes. So if we have a similar let me assure you, and love and respect a sex worker. If you go back in history, about 20 or 25% of women in any given period, depending on economic factors and lots of other stuff, do some kind of sex work at some point in their life.
Even if it's just exchanging sex for a service or to be allowed off, a payment for something. May not have been money exchanging hands, but certainly it's been used as some sort of currency.
Yeah, some collateral, for sure.
Absolutely. I personally want to include Hooters waitresses under the big red umbrella of sex workers.
I'm interested in those Hooters waitresses because that is fascinating to me as an American. I live in Britain, but whenever I go back to the States, I'm always interested that Hooters restaurants are family restaurants, and you have the waitresses in their little teeny, like, you know, gym girl shorts and their low-cut tops and a jiggle and a wiggle, and then there's Dad with his tween kids having burgers and milkshakes.
Right. Absolutely. And people say all the time of like, oh, sex work is coming into the mainstream. I'm like, bro, it's been in the mainstream. I tour as a stand-up comedian. I have never been, no matter how small the town, there's always a strip club.
Yeah.
We are everywhere, and we have always been everywhere.
Yeah. I think the fact that now that there's more of a move to own it and to say, right, okay, well, the shame has been used as a stick to beat us with for too long. And talk to us about the Red Umbrella movement, because I know that you are really political and you're trying to get more people to get under that banner.
Well, I don't know that it's totally healthy. I feel like my involvement with politics is like doing emotional cocaine. Like that sort of feels like a little bit like it feels like a relapse for me. But I have no place to put this righteous rage, and so politics feels better than actual cocaine, which only makes me more insufferable at parties. And being a history major did that to me a long time ago. I really am like this all the time. So, like, my poor partner brings me out to dinner, and I'm like, the history of sex work, and he's like, ask them about themselves. So, the Red Umbrella has become an international symbol for sex worker rights. Now, most sex worker activists go back and pinpoint the beginning of the contemporary sex worker rights movement as happening in Lyon, France in 1975, when 200 working, mostly street-based sex workers occupied I always mispronounce this, the Church of Saint Nazaire, but it's French, so who knows how it's
That'll do.
Right, yeah, Nazaire, Google it. We did an episode about it. And demanded an end to police brutality and stated that our children do not want their mothers in jail. So it was an anti-shaming campaign and an anti-police brutality campaign. Now, as a stickler for dates, I want to say that the WHOM organization, which is Whores, Housewives, and Other Mothers, and the Coyote organization, Call Off Your Old Tired Ethics, were founded in 1973, which technically predates this, but this began an international conversation and actually forced I think the Prime Minister of France on a very embarrassing television episode to confront sex workers who were wearing masks and demanded why they were stigmatized. So the Red Umbrella movement is international. It is made up of, old pros. Organizing sex workers is a little bit like organizing comics. It is very challenging because we are all individuals with individualistic ideas. If we could work for other people, we wouldn't be doing what we do. But we are united internationally in ending the stigma around our profession that prevents us from self-advocating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because, if something happens to you in the line of your work and you already feel stigmatized by it, you're not going to report it, are you? Especially if you feel like the police aren't on your side anyway.
Not only that, but every victim of domestic violence that I've ever interacted with was called a whore, whether she engaged in sex work or not.
Yeah.
But if you are actually a sex worker and you partner with an abuser, they can leverage that against you to keep you from reporting things to the police and to threaten to take your children away.
And that's something that comes up time and time again in your podcast, the fact that it's easier to take a prostitute's children away from her than someone who's got a drug problem.
Yes. We see it over and over again, and that, sex work is a kind of marginalization that makes it difficult to participate in the criminal justice system that we have, and it makes it difficult to participate in everyday life. I mean, sex workers have been mothers the whole time.
Yeah.
And to argue that we are somehow lesser than is to willfully ignore all evidence, all history, and all just common sense.
Oh man, Katelyn, I could talk to you all night, but we've got to go. But thank you so much for this. Yeah. It's been a thrill, and thanks for that podcast. I've got so many more to go, and I don't want it to end. So please don't tell me that you're going to do like a season finale or something, and then it's going to be gone.
No. You can't. There is no sunset on the oldest profession.
You're wonderful.
It goes on and on and on.
So how do we find you?
Thank you so much. Well, you can follow me on Twitter at Katelyn Bailey. My parents misspelled my name. It is Kaytlin. Bailey, Bailey. Of course, you can follow the podcast at Old Pro Podcast. Right now, we are trying to get the first national candidate for Congress who is explicitly supporting sex worker rights elected, but normally it's jokes. And we're on Twitter and Instagram. We have websites. Come, just check us out. The Oldest Profession Podcast. We're on iTunes and Spotify. And, of course, I'm Katelyn Bailey, a professional Mouthy whore.
And thank goodness you are. Thanks very much, Katelyn. Good to speak to you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Hey, no, pleasure. Thank you so much. So if you want to talk about that, you can do. 0344 499 1000. We've got a lot to think about, right?
Yeah.
You're listening to Talk Radio with me, Katherine Boyle, and
Katie Puckrik.
Talk Radio. 24-hour radio debate and entertainment.
Talk Radio.
We'll get you talking.
At Green Flag, we think the AA are great. They've won bucketfuls of awards. They'll give you unlimited call-outs when you get in a pickle. Pickle. And they cover 100% of the UK. Very good indeed. So why do we think that is so great? Because Green Flag do all of this too. And we'll have you AA renewal quote. Green Flag. Common sense to the rescue.
There may be a charge for call-outs with the same problem. Savings based on our closest equivalent UK vehicle cover for vehicles 10 years and under. T's and C's apply.
Forget history. Forget the years of hurt. Forget the red cards. Forget the missed handballs. Forget the brilliance. Forget being an underdog. Forget every game that has gone before, because all that matters is now.
Harry Kane, England's main goal-getter, is getting his eye in for the summer.
The 2018 FIFA World Cup continues today on ITV.
This is the sound of breakfast in bed. It's nice to feel valued. We're with you. So join British Gas Rewards today for loads of ways to feel valued, including free energy days. British Gas Rewards. Join today. Terms and conditions apply.
What do you fancy for lunch?
Great taste of America's back at McDonald's. There's that Tennessee stack.
What's that?
Well, I do declare. There's 2 beef burgers, mighty fine onions, bacon, and heavens to Betsy, a smoky Tennessee-style barbecue sauce in a flour-topped bun. Y'all coming?
Darn tootin' I am.
Great taste of America is back at McDonald's. Go all out for the smoking Tennessee stack with a sweet and smoky barbecue sauce. Around until Tuesday. Available from 10:30 a.m. subject to availability, participating restaurants only.
Winston Wolf here. Now listen up. It's a beautiful morning. You wake up, look outside, and see your precious car gleaming in the sun. And then you see one nasty dent on the side. Some bozo's bad driving has ruined your pink paint job. You're furious. That's when you thank your lucky stars you're with Direct Line. Unlike with other insurers, you won't lose your no-claim discount when you claim it's not your fault.
Hit while parked. Your no-claim discount is safe. Can your motor insurance do that? With comprehensive cover as standard. Excesses apply. Underwritten by UK Insurance Limited.
Democratic sonic involvement. Talk Radio. We'll get you talking.
Sorry, we're just talking about the podcast, right? Yeah. Listen to this one. This is about, I was talking about this podcast called Rum, Rebels and Ratbags, okay? And it's kind of related to the sort of stuff that Katelyn was talking about, because it's about the foundation of Australia.
Yeah.
And how, you know, the first shipment was full of male convicts who were sent out there for punishment reasons, obviously, and also put to work. And then the people that were sending them over there started thinking about them in terms of colonists rather than prisoners, because there was no such thing as a prison at the time when people were being, what do they call it? Not deported. They were
repatriated.
It's not that. What is it? Anyway, I can't remember. But at the time when people were being sent to Australia or sent to America, it was because you would have a prison for holding reasons, but as soon as you were found guilty, you got hanged, and you would be hanged for things like stealing an apple, and, you know, they didn't have prisons for long-term imprisonment. So they would get transported, that's the word, to Australia. And the first load of guys that went over there, all men, convicts, and then they realised that, you know, you can't populate a nation with all men, and actually what was happening was there was quite a bit of homosexuality happening.
Right.
And not just amongst the men.
in a desert.
Yeah, and not just amongst the convicts, but also because they were sort of blending in with the guards, and, you know, so they decided they would ship a load of prostitutes over as well.
Okay.
And mayhem ensued.
Right.
But actually they ended up building this kind of new world, and Australia became after a number of years. And at first it was hard. You know, there's stories in this podcast about them starving to death or having no clothes and having to wait for ships to come, you know, to bring them supplies from England. And people were lucky to survive in those early years. But as time went by, they started to establish this kind of new order whereby women who married the convicts were the ones that would own the land, because the convicts couldn't own it because of their history.
Right, so by law they were not allowed to own property.
Exactly, so the women had it, and so the women had power, and that's part of the reason why Australia gave women the vote much, much earlier than everywhere else in the so-called civilised world, you know.
That's so interesting, because when there's that kind of imbalance with gender, I mean, that's what we're seeing now in China and in India for various reasons. China, because they're aborting girl fetuses. Yeah. India, more or less the same thing. And they have, 25% more men than women. And it's a scandal. And you have these men who are despairing of ever teaming up with a woman. Mm-hmm. And
sexual violence, of course, peaks at that point.
Well, India is terrible for sexual violence. And then China is sort of a different situation going on there, but the long and the short of it is, it really, not only is it terrible for morale, but it's terrible for their economy. I mean, if women are given a place at the table and they're allowed to thrive and contribute the way they can, it benefits everybody. I mean, a rising tide will raise all ships.
It's true words.
Very true.
You were going to say something about...
Oh, yeah. I wanted to say, there was something when Katelyn was talking about this whole matter of control, you know, this idea that, you know, witches and uppity women and whores, you know, they need to be controlled. They need to be sort of stamped out, and any kind of independence is going to be suspect. It's going to be a threat to the order, and the order is the patriarchy. I read something a couple of months ago that really tickled me, which was around the 1800s, women started to, I guess bicycles were becoming more popular, and women were like, this is so great, because they had freedom. You know, they had a way to get around, and they didn't have to, I don't know, like call whatever the olden days version of the Uber was. They didn't have to like get the horse and buggy out. So suddenly...
And by its nature, it was something you had to do on your own, so no one else could chaperone you.
Yeah, that's right. So it was total independence. And so to counteract that, I don't know who started this, but the word came down from health professionals that you could suffer, that ladies in particular could suffer from bike face. And bike face was a dreaded disorder where basically your face would freeze in this grimace, this horrible grimace, because bike riding was a fearsome thing to do, terrifying. You could fall over at any moment, and it was basically the old thing that, you know, your mom would tell you when you were a kid, which was, you know, don't make that face because the wind will change and it'll freeze. So there were apparently a whole list of things that could befall you if you were a lady riding a bicycle.
Nice girls didn't wear trousers either, did they? So to be astride something like that would be outrageous.
Yeah, you're grinding your kibbles and bits to mince beef.
The trouser thing, though, it's carried on. I mean, even now, most school uniforms, maybe they brought trousers in recently, but most school uniforms have been, you will wear a skirt and it will be this length, and if you kneel down, it has to touch the floor and all that crap.
Here's my question as an outsider to your crazy, very entertaining Monty Python-esque culture. The schoolgirl skirts are really short, aren't they? They look kind of tiny to me.
You know why?
Which is another
We roll them up.
Okay. So you are uppity women and whores.
They're just easier to walk in, aren't they? The shorter they are.
I guess.
And also, you don't want to look like your mum.
Yeah.
I used to roll my skirt as soon as, my mum didn't care. I think she actually taught me the trick, but, you know, I remember being told off for a teacher for having my skirt too short.
Yeah.
Damn it, my legs were great back then. I'm glad I did.
You got it flannel.
Well, exactly, and I had it. You don't realise at the time, though, do you, when you're a teenager and you're worrying about, you know, stuff that teenagers worry about, that actually you're at peak physical condition at that point, or heading that way. It took me a while.
I don't think I was at peak physical condition when I was a teenager. I think that happened when I was about 29.
Oh, really?
I've had a few peaks. So 29 was a good year, and 42 was a good year.
42?
Yeah.
Right.
I was really peaking out at 42.
What was different about you at 42?
Oh, I was getting married for the second time, and I went on a total basic training kind of military precision workout, all points bulletin assault on myself. So I was doing everything from hardcore Pilates to ballet classes to all sorts of things, yoga.
I envy the fact that you can put yourself through that. Because I suppose that comes from being a dancer, right? That discipline.
Yeah, I've danced my whole life. But the other thing was I stopped, not that I drink a lot, but I cut out drinking wine after dinner. And yeah, I got chiseled. I didn't need those. I didn't need the drawing on of the six-pack.
The six-pack was there?
Yeah, six-pack was there.
God, I don't think I've ever had a six-pack.
Maybe it was a four-pack.
Well, look, I've never had any of that either. You were doing bloody well. What else were you talking about earlier on? Oh, there's loads. I'll tell you.
Oh, yeah.
Do you want a clunky gear change?
Yeah. Okay.
Did you hear about the woman who got hit in the face with a sausage?
That sounds fun.
Right. Philadelphia Phillies. One of the fans was standing in the stand nearest to the ground, and apparently one of the fun things they do, and I've been to baseball games, is fire stuff out. Normally it's like T-shirts and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the Philadelphia Phillies have got a mascot that fires out hot dogs from a massive hot dog cannon.
Oh, my God.
She got one square in the face.
Wait a minute. I just have to... I'm concerned about her, but I am more concerned about where can I get one of these hot dog cannons? Because this sounds like the next best thing to the chocolate fountain.
It'd be amazing.
If I just had a chocolate fountain and a hot dog cannon, I wouldn't be using my kitchen ever again.
That would be you done. Yeah, she got it square in the face, knocked her glasses off, she got very badly bruised, but, what a story.
So wait, the hot dog, it didn't have a bun around it? It was just a wiener?
No, it was wrapped in duct tape, apparently.
You can't eat that thing. It's going to have sticky stuff on it.
I don't know. Maybe it was foil as well.
Like gaffer tape? Oh, okay. So it was foil and then they duct taped it.
I guess they've got to make it aerodynamic because a hot dog by its nature is floppy, right? And that's not going to sail through the air as cleanly as if you reinforced it with a bit of gaffer.
But how aerodynamic is it? Like, did they put wings on it?
What, like fins and stuff?
Yeah, fins.
I'm going to say yeah.
Like a dart. Like the end of a dart. If they had like a feather on it, then it can kind of go whoop, 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 whoop through the air.
It did her a mischief. Let's just say it did her a mischief. Hit her square in the face, bruising like she'd been beaten up, and knocked her specs off.
Okay, here's the thing. Baseball, number one, really boring.
It's like rounders, isn't it?
Sport ball of any sort is usually has TDM built in.
Yeah.
But baseball is it's like slow motion death. So, but the most exciting thing that can happen in a baseball game is that perhaps you get hit in the face with something. So a lot of times people are getting hit in the face with a baseball, and that's a good thing. Like, you want that baseball. But the hot dog, so I don't know, I think she might just be whining about that weenie.
She probably is. Did you ever sustain a food-related injury?
Have I sustained a food-related injury? Let me think. Well, I have just by binge eating. And I used to be really big on donuts, Krispy Kreme donuts, and there was a point in my life when I could easily eat a dozen. If they were warm, if they were fresh out of the oven. Mm-hmm. And that was... that kind of goes back to the Burmese python situation where, I'd have to lie quietly for many hours.
For fear of bursting.
Yeah, exploding. There could be a donut explosion in my midsection, and that would be ugly. And that would be like a hot dog cannon.
I once speared myself on an oil pourer. That's probably the most middle-class injury I've ever sustained. You know those, oil... It looks like a sort of pointy... thing with a tube with a sharp edge on it.
Oh, is
it a drizzler?
Oh, is it like the Tin Man's hat or
just
something?
Just like that. So I'm reaching up, and I'm a short person, and I was reaching up for something in a high shelf, and as I brought my arm down quite quickly, I brought it straight down onto this oil drizzler.
I have a food-related injury. You just reminded me with your oil. Okay, so in my gluttonous past, I do love food. I love to be swallowing. I was I was 9 years old, and there was a can of cheese puffs, my favorite snack. Oh my gosh, I love those. And I don't know why, in those days they were in a can instead of in a bag. And so it was one of those dangerous olden days cans that just had really sharp edges. So it had a pull top, and I pulled the top, and I, to this day, have a scar on the back of one of my fingers from this, and it was pouring out blood. But it didn't stop me from enjoying the salty cheese snack.
No, it's just a constant reminder that cheese puffs are good and they're worth it.
They're worth it.
0344 499 1000. you've sustained a related injury, a food-related injury. I know you have, so give us a ring, 0344 499 1000. Or you can text talk and your message to 87222. Or you can, hang on, I've got to tell you that it's 25p per message on top of your standard network rate. Or you can tweet us. It's at FlippinCath, at Katie Puckrik, at Talk Radio. Take your pick, or don't. You can put the whole lot in. You're listening to Talk Radio with me, Katherine Boyle, and her, Katie Puckrik. Love to hear from you, but if not, we'll just wang on. You know we will.
Wang doodle.
Across the UK, online and on DAB.
We are Talk.
Talk Radio. Give it some lip.
What's your summer soundtrack? Lawn mowing, bee dodging, or 6-speaker touchscreen controlled DAB radio blasting. A new Corsa Energy for £150 initial rental and £150 a month. Search Corsa offers. Vauxhall, British brand since 1903.
Personal contract hire offer on Corsa 3-door Energy 1.4 75 PS in metallic paint. Initial rental £150 plus 47 months at £150. Excess miles over contracted mileage of 20,000 over 48 months charged at 9 pence per mile. Subject to availability and status. You will not own the car. 18 plus T's and C's apply. Offer ends June 30th, 2018. Vauxhall Finance Leasing.
McCafe iced drinks taste like summer feels. But what does summer feel like? At My Name is Susie B says, it feels like sitting in the park, blasting some hip-hop. And at Cutie Cute Face says, summer feels like driving with the top down, sunshine emoji, sunshine emoji. So, the Raspberry Ripple Ice Cooler, a cool and creamy drink with a raspberry flavour swirl, tastes like sunshine emojis. And it's only $1.99. McCafe Ice at McDonald's. Served until the 4th of September. Subject to availability, price and participation may vary.
Hello, Now TV Entertainment Hotline. What are you in the mood for today?
I want to lose myself in something epic.
Sounds like Game of Thrones is your thing, and you can relive every battle for the Seven Kingdoms, because we've got all 7 seasons.
Well, that's my night's watch sorted.
Whatever you're in the mood for, the Now TV Entertainment Pass has the latest and best shows, and over 300 box sets to suit your every whim. To start your 14-day free trial, search Now TV. 18 plus, new customers only. Pass renews at $7.99 per month unless cancelled.
Football on one channel and football on the other channel. Not everyone's cup of tea. At Tesco Mobile, we're offering 3 pay-as-you-go rocket packs for the price of 2. Save a tenner and enjoy 3 gig a month. So you can stream whatever, wherever, even if it is football. For your sim, go online or in-store. Tesco Mobile. Every little helps.
Promotion ends June 26. Rocket pack expires after 1 month. Requires Tesco Mobile or unlocked 4G phone. Minutes text to standard UK landline and mobiles, including euro and T's and C's apply.
The mother of all talk shows with George Galloway.
On Talk Radio, we'll get you talking.
Listen up, comrades of the world. Unite.
Our glorious leader, George Galloway, was the mother of all talk shows.
The switchboard is lighting up. Controversial conversation and cutting-edge current affairs comment with the notorious B-I-G-G. Listen, this guy's a nightmare. He's not a great guy, folks.
The mother of all talk shows with George Galloway. Tomorrow night from 7 on Talk Radio.
Tiny dino hands.
The mother of all radio stations. Talk Radio. We'll get you talking.
And if you want to talk, give us a ring, 0344 499 1000. Hiya, Jackie.
Is that me?
It's you.
Oh, you nearly... I couldn't hear my voice then. Hi, babe, you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine, thank you. How are you doing?
Yeah, and lovely to speak to Katie as well. How are you?
Hi, Jackie.
I know, you did send me a little hello before.
I know.
Thank you very much. I very much appreciated. Right, years and years ago, Kath, when I... talking about meeting famous people...
Mm-hmm.
Right, although we weren't allowed to talk to them, we could take pictures and certain things. I used to work in a place called New Brighton Swimming Pool. It was an open-air pool, and one year when I first started work, about 83, 84,
right,
we had a Granada TV came and filmed a whole week of a pop concert called New Brighton Rock. So I got to meet so many stars of the day, starting from, who was there? It was Frankie Goes to Hollywood, Gloria Gaynor.
Wow.
The Weather Girls.
Wow.
Madness.
It's like a total Top of the Pops cavalcade.
The fortunate thing was, we were in there during the day. I was a cashier during the season at New Brighton, and during the day, obviously, we had to be in work, we had uniforms provided, and we were allowed to go and sit and watch them all rehearse. You know, with all the camera angles and everything. And I've still got a photo album of all the pictures that we took. And who else was there? There was the Flying Pickets, Spandau Ballet, Nick Kershaw.
So, who was your favourite and who was an idiot?
Yeah, that's what I want to know. Like, who was badly behaved?
It was Eddie Grant as well. Do you know what? None of them were idiots, because although we weren't allowed to talk to them, they waved at us and they sort of gave us a thumbs up and things. So we were all made up. We were all sitting by the one of the changing room areas at the back of the pool, and we just all sat there mesmerised watching. I think my favourite was Frankie Goes to Hollywood. Because they sang Relax. And when the evening, we were there in the evening as well, we were there all day, so when they started filming of the evening, they gave free tickets out to all the young kids in the area, and so for the crowds. And when they did Relax, of course, when he sang that famous line, "Hit me with your laser beams," the whole pool just lit up. There was laser beams coming from everywhere, and I actually spoke to Holly Johnson. I went to see him in the Philharmonic Hall in Liverpool one year with my sister, and I tweeted him, and he said, "Oh, be lovely to meet you." And I said, "Well, I've actually got 2 pictures of you that I took from the New Brighton Rock." It was the natural, you know, they were talking by the poolside and rehearsing and things, so it was during the day, not one of the action pictures, and he was absolutely made up. So I sent him the pictures, and then he sent me a lovely autograph and picture back for me, so that was really nice of him.
Yeah, he didn't need to do that. You hadn't asked for that, but he just did it.
No, well, I said, and the pictures, because they were so natural, and I believe one of the members, I was talking to a friend of mine today, he's just come over from New Zealand for a few weeks on holiday, and to visit all old haunts and things, and he worked at the baths with us, and he said one of the members of Frankie Goes to Hollywood, I think it's Paul Rutherford, he now lives in New Zealand near him. So it was like, you know, all little things fitting in together today. It was really nice.
Oh. Yeah. So how long's your friend over for?
He's been over for 4 weeks. He comes over every couple of years, apparently, but I found him on Facebook, and I messaged him. He said, "Oh, I'm coming home in June." I said, "Oh, I'd love to meet up with you." So we went down to, I live on the shoreline, on the coast, as you know, on the Wirral. And because we're a peninsula, we're surrounded by water, and we've got some really nice coastline. So we met down at the shore today, and there's a little cafe down there, so we had a nice cup of coffee.
And it wasn't weird after all these years?
No, he wasn't. No, it was lovely. Yeah, it was, he used to be with somebody, but they parted, and she lives in London, so I've not been able to contact her yet, but I found him. So, you know, it was just nice to catch up on old times and talk about things and about what happened in the, you know, the baths and all the, and the New Brighton Rock and everything. So I just thought I'd share that story with you tonight.
Hey, I'm glad you did. Thanks, Jackie.
All right, there you go. Thanks, Kath.
Bye now.
Katie.
Bye.
Bye.
Meeting up after all these years. I mean, I always liked the idea of it, but I did it once, and I was going to go and stay at her house for the weekend. And I must admit that I was worried about it. I thought, what if we don't get on? Thankfully we did, but it's a brave thing to do, put yourself back out there, isn't it?
Yeah, but now with Facebook, social media, you're sort of like always never not in touch.
Yeah.
Isn't that right? I mean, you can kind of coast along and piggyback on people's lives and see what's going on.
Yeah. Saying that, I've not looked at Facebook for ages. It started to do my nut in.
Why is that?
Oh, it's just people, you know, I think sometimes, and maybe it's to do with the fact that if your life isn't going particularly as you want it to, or, you know, you kind of, there are some people who are always on there and they'll post every little thing, and possibly I did it when I had very small kids, especially people with little kids.
Yeah.
I think, okay, well, all babies burp, we don't need to see a video of it every time it happens. So, you know, that kind of...
But you know what, I always just unfollow them. So, I stay friends, but I just unfollow so I don't have to see the annoying... I keep the interesting ones.
Yeah. But, you know, the ones that are taking pictures of their dinners and, you know, taking you through every single moment of their lives can get a little bit much, can't
it can get a little tedious. So I was thinking, you know, we were talking at the beginning of our chat tonight about unequal intellects and partnerships, and how, you know, it's kind of a tricky thing when it's one thing when you think about your past and you think about who you've been with and, you know, have you always been the smartest one? Have you always been the smartest one in your relationship, or is it kind of even Steven?
It's varied. I remember my first boyfriend was a bit of an... it was one of those things I told you before. At the time, we went out with each other for 5 years.
Is this the one who smoked on the toilet?
No,
the one
different
from
guy.
France? Okay.
Different guy.
Okay.
This one...
Spain.
Yeah, he was a Spanish guy. I've never had a French boyfriend. That's something I need to sort out. But this first guy, we went out for 5 years, and we started out as friends. And then towards the end, I kind of started to realise that I was being crushed a little bit all the time. I remember telling him that I wanted to be a journalist. He said, "What of? You don't know anything."
Oh, dear.
And, actually, I aced my A-levels, and he cocked his up. And I think there may have been something to do with that, him trying to sort of just dampen me down a little bit.
Yeah, because it's self-hatred.
Yeah.
And he's passing it on to you.
But then, I married someone who is super supportive and thinks, thought the sun shone out of my backside and stuff. And that could be an extra pressure when someone thinks that much of you, so...
Yeah.
But, after a few years you strike the happy balance. But, no, it's not always been equal. And actually, I think with that first guy, he was a bit threatened by it.
Well, I had a boyfriend that I thought was fantastic, and there was definitely sizzle between us, because sizzle can count for a lot.
Oh, yeah. But sizzle can blind you to everything else that's missing.
Yes, yeah. And he did a bad thing. He cheated on me, and so then the sizzle de-sizzled. The bubbles burst. And then I realized, we didn't share an intellectual level. I didn't really notice it because here's the thing, he thought I was so interesting and fascinating, so that kind of falsely bounced me along for a while, because I thought, I'm great. You think, I'm great? Sure, I'm great.
He thinks I'm brilliant. That means I must be.
I must be great. And so then I was sort of the one driving the relationship. Hey, we're going here. We're going to check this out. We're going to see this person. And then that gets a little exhausting. Anyway, the next person I met after him was so intellectually stimulating, and he thought I was a big brain box, so that was extremely flattering, but in fact, that has its own problems as well. But I was thinking about a guy I was with. In fact, we've just been chatting online a little bit, Tony, and we were together for many years, and he knew that we were going to be talking about this, so he's just contacted me on Facebook to go, which one am I, smarter or dumber? So Tony, I think we're both on the level. I think there's a give and take there. But the thing that so interested me about his background was right before me, he'd been with a woman for 6 years who he met at the office. He met her at work. And she was the most beautiful woman at work, like long legs, blonde hair, completely opposite to me, and all the men at work fancied her, and I guess he nabbed her. And the way he put it was, they went on a date, and it turned into a long weekend, and then she never left. So basically, she just lived with him for 6 years.
So she kind of moved in by stealth.
Yeah, well, she didn't even, there was no stealthiness, but there was no discussion. It was just like everyone was very passive about it. But, so that was all fine. However, he soon discovered that she wasn't very smart. She didn't have opinions of her own. And all she would do to kind of keep up with him would be to parrot his opinions and views and insights and perceptions back at him. So it was the most tedious thing in the world. So he's telling me the story, and I went, wait a minute, okay, I got it. Here's the one thing here's where the math does not add up. 6 years you were together when you're saying she's the most tedious woman, I mean, albeit pretty, and I don't know if this is a guy thing. And I said, this is just like you settled into the comfy sofa and you turned into you had a relationship couch potato situation going on. So I don't know if that's
pretty must go a long way.
Pretty must go a long way. I mean, I guess there are a lot less problems. Like, I don't know if this is a control thing.
Pretty, and also thinks you're really clever.
Yes.
And flatters your ego in that way and as an accessory.
But then that makes him sound like a boob. And he's not a boob. He's a really smart... I mean, I picked him to be with. We picked each other. So... And we were together for many years. Like, I think we were together like 7 or 8 years or something. So I just don't understand. Or 9 years, I think. So I don't understand how he ended up with, sweet but dim lady. So I don't know. Is this something... I'm wondering if the listeners have any insights into this, like the give and take.
Can you help us out with this? 0344 499 1000. Also, here's a broader thing. Long-term relationships. Have you ever emerged blinking into the sunlight after a long-term relationship and realised that you started out going with one person and ended up with someone else?
Yeah.
And actually by the end, you were someone else too.
Yeah.
I think we all change and develop, and it's about whether you go in the same direction or whether you grow apart,
Well,
right?
some people just grow into the one big blobby person.
Well, exactly. God. But they're the ones that get along and end up going on holiday and wearing matching jumpers and get
I know.
held up by their children as being, the archetypical, the aspiration.
Yeah, finish each other's sentences,
Exactly.
eat off each other's plates. Yeah, yeah.
They make me want to puke. Let's speak to Nigel. Hi, Nigel.
Oh, hi, Catherine.
Hi. I bet you're going to be confused now.
Hey? Am I talking to Catherine?
Yes.
Oh, good. Where's Iain tonight?
Tonight he's in New York City.
Is he listening to the show?
I hope not. He's supposed to be out having a good time, but you know what he's like.
Yeah, he hasn't got... It's not a TV show he's doing, is it, in New York?
As far as I know, not. But last time, do you remember what happened when he said he was going to write a book in Wales? He ended up in the jungle, so I don't believe a word that man says anymore.
No. Well, I hope he's having a good time anyway.
Well, we all do. Are you having a good time, Nigel? What's going on in your life?
I'm just watching Ken Dodd with the sound down at the moment. Ken Dodd, this is 1980s show.
Right.
Long time ago, but he was good, wasn't he, Ken Dodd?
He was all right. My grandma's always a Ken Dodd fan.
And he was a good, not a bad singer too, not a fantastic singer, but a very good singer.
Yeah.
You know, I was going to ask you, I've got some new songs out that are going on to iTunes soon.
Oh yeah.
And they're on my Facebook at the moment. The Wurlitzer keyboard you have to look for. Well, the name Wurlitzer. Record player. Wurlitzer record players. And it's on my Facebook, Nigel Reader.
Yeah.
I was wondering whether you could play the YouTube over the air.
I can't.
YouTube.
I haven't got the same system that Ian's got. Could you not play it down the phone?
No, because I haven't got that. No, I haven't got the actual original copy now. I've only got one that was sort of a demo tape.
Yeah, but you've got your YouTube. Have you got your YouTube open?
What, you mean playing mine over the phone?
Yeah.
No, it wouldn't be clear enough. It wouldn't be loud enough because my laptop's not very loud. It wouldn't be loud enough.
Oh no! Put the phone close enough. It won't make any difference, will it?
Oh, well, I haven't got it. The battery's got to be charged up. I haven't got it fixed up at the moment. Anyway.
Blimey.
Do you remember this? I'm going to sing something funny now, just to make you laugh. Do you remember this years ago? When I'm calling you.
Indian love song. Very impressive.
Eh?
It's very impressive. Indian love song.
Yeah, because I used to get an answer from the other end. Come on, Catherine. Do the other bit. I will answer too, Catherine.
Is that what it is?
I will answer too.
What on earth has made you think of that song, Nigel?
Because Ken Dodd's just done it on his TV.
I bet he has. You say he's just done it. He did it in 1985.
Is he dead?
He did it in 1985.
He's quite dead.
Anyway, I thought, not many people do that comedy sketch now when I'm calling you, do they?
No, and there's a reason.
Anyway, it's before your time anyway, isn't it?
Just a bit.
Just a bit more than a bit. Because you're only about 25, aren't you?
Yeah.
Is that right?
No.
Are you older?
Yeah.
30 then?
A bit older than that.
33.
Keep going.
I'm 38.
Keep going.
I'm 40.
Correct.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't look 40 in the video, when I've seen you on the videos.
Well, okay, well...
It's the RuPaul lighting we have in here.
We've got an amazing blasty lighting.
Have you got the American lady in the studio with you?
I think so. Yeah, that is you, isn't it?
It is. It's totally me.
Are you actually in the studio?
Yes.
You're not talking from New York?
I am not anywhere near New York. I'm just right here in Londinium.
Do you appear on New York television?
Nope. Not lately.
You're a radio person then?
Well, radio and television person, but not in New York. I'm mostly in these green and pleasant isles.
California as well?
I used to live in California for 12 fun-loving years.
Have you met Miley Cyrus by any chance?
No, I haven't met Miley Cyrus.
You haven't met Miley?
No. Do you like Miley Cyrus?
He likes her a lot.
Well, I'm doing Facebook with her, and I'm always talking to her on Facebook and stuff.
No.
And I wrote this song about Miley Cyrus. If you go to Miley Cyrus and Smilers, Catherine, they put a thumbs up on that Miley song I did with Iain.
I bet they did.
Video.
It's a great song. It's a hit.
Yeah. So I've had 2 points on the record with Iain, so that's good anyway. So it's a bit late because of the neighbours. I can't really do a song this time of night. I'll call up earlier tomorrow if you like.
Do it. I'll speak to you then.
Yeah. Anyway, nice talking to you. The news is coming up now, ladies and gentlemen.
Talk Radio. Digital debate for the UK.
Pick up your phone and talk radio.
We'll get you talking.
Countdown to Brexit on Talk Radio with The Times. Know your times. The clock is ticking as the UK prepares to officially leave the European Union. Listen to the No Nonsense Breakfast with Julia Hartley-Brewer tomorrow morning from 6:30, when she'll be joined by Times journalists to discuss the latest Brexit developments. Don't just be informed, be well informed with debate, analysis and opinion from right across the political spectrum. Countdown to Brexit with Julia Hartley-Brewer, weekday mornings from 6:30 on Talk Radio with The Times.
I can't pretend to be a great celebrity.
Whatever the size of your business, now you can take card payments square and fair. Get Next Business Day payments as standard, with no monthly fees and free point-of-sale software. Learn more at square.com/fair. Authorised by the Financial Conduct Authority for the provision of payment services. Terms and fees at square.com/fair.
That works the thing-a-me-bob.
A tough and overgrown lawn never gets in the way of the McCulloch man when there's a match on. Like a powerful striker with his McCulloch lawnmower. He has the power to get the job done, cutting the lawn down to size well before the pre-match build-up, leaving it looking good enough to host the Cup final. Get your McCulloch lawnmower and other garden power tools at good DIY stores nationwide or at McCulloch.com. McCulloch, the power to get the job done.
Are you seeing this? If I bet £5 on any Bet Your Way market on the England game, Betway will give me a £5 free bet. With Bet Your Way, you can combine anything you like. Cards, corners, goal scorers, and goals! And here I was thinking the World Cup couldn't get any better. A £5 free bet.
Betway, for the love of the game. Single bet at odds of evens or over. 18 plus. T's and C's apply. BeGambleAware.org.
This is the sound of a great family day out at Alton Towers Resort. Days out are even better when they're half price. We're with you. With British Gas Rewards, you can enjoy 50% off top UK attractions. British Gas Rewards. Join today. Terms and date exclusions apply.
Across the UK, online and on DAB.
Talk Radio, on the hour news headlines.
Good morning, I'm Carl Hartley. Her mother, whose son had cannabis oil confiscated at Heathrow Airport, leading to the government to review the medicinal use of the drug, has told Talk Radio what the Home Secretary needs to do.
I need him to reassure me that Billy's medicine is secured, and also reassure me that within 30 days in the United Kingdom that the children who are suffering and dying from epilepsy, that they can get access to medicinal cannabis.
That's Charlotte Caldwell. Her 12-year-old son Billy needs cannabis to help him survive his epilepsy. She says having access to the drug which controls his condition really is a matter of life and death.
One seizure can kill him, so you don't know when that's going to come or when that's going to strike. You're living with that on a 24-hour basis. Not just me. There's hundreds of other mummies doing the same thing. You know, it's 24-hour care and you can't take your eyes off them.
The full story's online. Just go to talkradio.co.uk. Melania Trump has visited Texas facilities where migrant children separated from their parents are being detained. But the First Lady was criticised for the choice of her jacket, which featured graffiti writing on the back with the words, "I really don't care, do you?" EU citizens will have to answer 3 simple questions online if they want to continue living in the UK after Brexit. The Home Secretary says the government's default position would be to grant, not refuse, settled status. Now, a crew member of the SS Empire Windrush has told Talk Radio Theresa May still has questions to answer over the documents scandal. Some of the Windrush generation were wrongly declared illegal immigrants, leading to Amber Rudd's resignation as Home Secretary. Peter Dealin was a baker on the ship in 1948 and says the Prime Minister's escaped political punishment.
I think she's got something to answer to. That lady resigned, but I think she was a fool guy. She was stuck.
Today is 70 years to the day since nearly 500 migrants stepped off the Windrush onto UK soil. And after a record-breaking May, forecasters are predicting another mini heatwave to end this month. Part of the UK could reach 30 degrees next week. A cool start, but a mostly fine day is expected today. Just the odd shower possible in northern Scotland.
Across the UK, online and on DAB.
Talk Radio. Get more passionate debate, more outspoken opinion, and more digital debate for the UK. Your voice counts. Get it heard on Talk Radio. We'll get you talking.
I just can't work Melania out, right?
I can't either.
Is she clueless, or is she some kind of saboteur?
I'd like to think that she's some kind of warrior within, like some kind of sleeper cell, which is going to bust out and feck everything up. But I don't know. I mean, I really think that she probably, when she got together with Donald, she thought she was signing up for gold toilets and white tigers.
Yeah.
And, getting endless manicures. And now she's lumbered with this nonsense. She doesn't want to be First Lady. You never see her. They don't live together.
No. And she is definitely not the person manning that Twitter account either. Because the way it speaks and the way she speaks are completely different.
Yeah. She didn't sign up for that.
But this coat thing.
Oh, the coat.
Right, so she goes to the tented area where they're keeping
the migrant kids.
The camps.
Yeah, the kids in cages.
Yeah, and by the way, people discussing whether or not they're cages. I've seen them. They're cages. I can tell you that. I mean, cage is, the chicken wire, and the separation, the confinement. It all spells cage.
Yeah, let's not parse that.
But, so she went to see them, and she apparently asked how much help she could be in reuniting them with their families.
Okay, that's good.
But she's wearing this coat that says, "I don't care, do you?"
Huh.
Right, in an age where they are hyper aware of social media. That family know that they are under extreme speculation. People are wondering whether she's living with her husband anymore, whether they're even talking to each other.
Yeah, she disappeared for a month.
She's been caught so many times and turned into a gif or gif of someone who can't stand to even touch his hand.
Yeah.
His tiny, tiny hand. And she wears a coat like that and doesn't realise that it's going to cause some kind of uproar.
Yeah, no, it's very disingenuous for the spokesperson to then go, "It's a coat." No, words matter, statements matter. This is a statement. I mean, it's like when Catherine Hamnett met Margaret Thatcher and she had her Pershing Missiles T-shirt that she was wearing. I mean, she's a walking billboard, Melania Trump. Even when there's not words on it, people will say, was Michelle Obama wearing an American designer, or was she being unpatriotic and wearing something from France?
This is a woman who's made a living out of her appearance, right?
Yeah.
And who prides herself in her appearance and who knows that that's what she's marketing, is that image, right? This is a woman who wore a Jackie O style outfit to the inauguration.
Right.
She knows exactly what's going on. Is she not living with anyone who's advising her from the White House, is what I'm wondering, because how do you put something like that on your back and not realise?
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't even an expensive coat, apparently.
No, it's from Zara.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting. I mean, on the one hand, I have noticed that she loves her costumes, so she kind of will dress for, there was some, I guess it was when there were the hurricane damage in Texas, when she was wearing aviator glasses, kind of a Top Gun, army fatigue green military looking jacket and stilettos.
Yes, I remember the shoes.
The shoes. So I think she does kind of try to dress like she's, Barbieing herself into that event. And so this jacket does look a little, I don't know, it's a bit, what's the mod jacket that people would wear? The like a parka type thing, like a scooter. But yeah, the fact that it says, "I really don't care, do you?" ? is It's a bitch move.
Or is she misunderstood what that slogan means?
Because she doesn't understand English, it's her second language. Or no, I think it's her fourth language,
Do you
actually.
care? You know, if it just said, do you care on the back of it, that's a different message. But does she, I don't...
No, she's saying, I really don't care.
I know.
And maybe she thought it was like a middle finger up to naysayers to her. But of course, there's no other way you can read it than to say, I don't care about this charade, this pantomime that I'm enacting.
Yeah, I know. And of course, right, the First Lady, since Michelle Obama and previous First Ladies have tried to make their role more about, you know, having a social conscience and backing up what their husband's message is with, you know, something that's more nurturing, maybe because they're a bit more removed from the nuts and bolts of politics. But a lot of it is about what you look like, and a lot of it is about, you know, the image that you're representing. They want to do everyone wants to do a Princess Diana since Princess Diana, and this is an absolute clonker.
She does look kind of cool in it, though.
She looks cool, but the message ain't cool.
The message is not so cool for those kids in the cages.
Oh, God.
Well,
apparently Ivanka went and said, Daddy, can you do something about this?
Oh, she always says that. I mean, that's her whole gambit, is like, I'm here as the moderating...
The heart.
Yeah, influence. And, I mean, all of it is so disingenuous, because there shouldn't ever have been a crisis. I mean, the fact, you know, yes, he could do something about it because he was the person who put it into action to begin with. Kids in cages.
Yeah, and now he wants the credit for stopping doing it.
He's big on getting credit.
Yeah.
Extra credit. Unearned.
It's like someone kicking you in the nuts repeatedly and then saying, and now I'm going to reverse my policy of kicking you in the nuts. Do I get a Mars bar for that? I mean, God... It's incredible, but this is someone who's never had anyone say no or question his authority. And if they do, he ignores them.
Yeah, I mean, he's special. He's somebody, I mean, everyone has said this before, but I mean, he's kind of a limited individual that is malformed and... you know, kind of, he's a freak. That's why he's so fascinating, because you just can't believe that he is not constrained by social mores and what people think and what people say, and in fact, he's spurred on by it. And what's absolutely sure about him is that he's 100% consistent. So and he says it himself, he's the same now as he was when he was 10 years old. And the stories you hear about him in school and coming up towards adulthood, he's a Arrested Development individual who likes to fight.
A story I heard out of the White House recently was that apparently he rips everything up after he's worked on it, right?
Yeah, but all his papers.
Yeah. But the rules are that everything that the president has touched, every bit of paperwork, has got to go into an archive.
Yes.
For future. So there is someone at the White House whose job it is to pick up these bits of paper off the floor and paste them back together.
An apt metaphor for the state of America right now.
My God.
Because we're going to be all pasting that paper back together. The Constitution, in this case. Yeah, democracy is in shreds.
I mean, I don't really care, do you?
I don't really care, do you? Yeah, it's a tricky one. I don't know how you bounce back from that, but I just wonder how soon she's going to kick his ass out. You know, once he gets deposed, his dictatorship, or impeached, or assassinated, or, you know, other wishful thinking. But if that doesn't happen, how is she going to ditch him? Because, you know, she's repulsed by him.
I guess she's praying for his death of old age. I mean, how old is he? 76?
Well, here's what I don't understand is...
And also, he eats burgers every day.
He eats burgers every day. I mean, isn't his thing to sit in bed and eat potato chips?
Yes. And the White House tried to make him, like, good burgers, and he won't have it. He has to have takeout from McDonald's.
Does he really?
Yeah. They tried to, and they've actually tried to recreate the McDonald's burger, because obviously there's a security risk involved in getting food prepared from somewhere else, you know?
Yeah, oh, that's right. Yeah, he's interesting. I mean, he's a freak in a lot of ways, and one of them is physically, because he's like one of those guys who's like, I don't like vegetables. I don't have to eat them. You can't tell me what to do. And by gum, he doesn't eat them.
No. Should we talk about a more intelligent life form?
Oh, God.
Did you hear about the sad demise of Coco the gorilla, who's died age 46?
No, what happened to Coco?
Coco died natural causes, I think. I think 46 is quite old for a gorilla. But this gorilla was special because she knew sign language.
Oh.
And she could understand 2,000 human words. She knew 1,000 signs. She used to have a pet cat. Did you know about this?
Oh, I knew about it,
named,
yes. What was it?
All Ball.
Oh.
All Ball.
All
Ball.
Oh, All Ball.
And when this kitten arrived, there's a great story about how she used to, pet this kitten. She was very nurturing, and they could, converse with her about this kitten. It was something that she could look after. And at one point, the zookeepers found that a sink in her enclosure had been ripped off the wall. She blamed the kitten. This thing had an intelligence, Coco had an intelligence of something like 97%, when you think that the average for a human being is about 100.
Wait, what is that metric? I don't understand. 97% of what?
Sorry, not 97%. IQ of 97.
Oh,
97%.
IQ of 97. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. But enough to blame the cat.
Enough to blame. See how a little bit of intelligence, that's great. There's Coco telling the human, I love you. She probably said that. But then a little bit more, and you're blaming everything on your pet kitty.
Manipulation.
Yeah. It gets into the manipulation and the prevarication. Yeah.
But it's extraordinary that this animal was able to learn 1,000 signs, 2,000 human words.
Could she tell jokes?
I'm not sure about jokes, but she could certainly kind of express herself. Apparently she was doing sentences and stuff.
Yeah. Because the thing about apes is that they are funny.
Yeah.
And they play tricks. And birds do that too, like crows and ravens. Don't they play tricks? They're tricksters. So that seems to indicate some sort of sense of humor. And yet, I still eat meat. Here's the thing. They say pigs are really smart, and then get me that hot dog cannon from the ballpark.
I find it really hard to explain it. My daughter has started saying, right, I don't want to eat this meat. And she said to me the other day, I don't want to eat pork anymore. And I said, oh, why is that? She said, because they're so cute. I went, well, yeah, but so are, chickens to some people. So are cows. Have you seen a calf? They're adorable. Yeah. They've got the best eyes. But, I can't get enough of that meat.
Yeah, I mean, push comes to shove, I could get off of it. I suppose. I like tofu, it's fine, but...
Cheese is good. I mean, there's enough variety of cheese these days that you could substitute some of that kind of meaty saltiness.
I could get down with a whole umami menu of cheese.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could have cheese starter, entree, and afters.
God, this conversation is making me hungry.
I'm going to go have some cheese when I get home.
You'll have nightmares. Or is that true?
I don't think it's true, because... that's my favorite late night snack, eating cheese. Why do people say that that's bad?
I don't know. I just remember it being in, isn't it in A Christmas Carol, where he thought that the ghost was a figment of his imagination or a bit of cheese or something?
No, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
No, late night, melted cheese on toast.
So good.
Classic.
If you're fixing something up now, and there'll be someone listening to this who is fixing up something, or is thinking about fixing it up, what are you having? 03444991000. It's the only way we can eat by proxy, really.
Yes.
Right now, we can't get to a toaster. I do love a cheese toastie.
But, my problem with when people make me snacks, cheese-oriented snacks, I never put enough cheese on.
No.
So, if I go for a pizza, there's never enough cheese. I need, triple cheese. Because I consider the toasty part or the pizza crust part of... any dish of that nature, that is just filler, and the cheese is the main event.
It definitely is. I've been eating less bread recently because I'm trying to sort myself out. I've hit 40, and I think that I feel like I'm getting thicker around the waist. I'm doing that thing that happens to some women where it gets... I've always had quite a small waist, and I've noticed that I'm filling out, right?
No, you're telescoping into yourself.
God, yeah, I'm becoming a rectangle girl. But, so I'm trying to sort of rein back. It's probably futile, but I'm trying, right? So I'm trying to cut down on the bread, but now all I can think about is bread.
Oh, I don't really care about bread that much.
Really?
No.
Oh, soft crust. Oh, my God, I love it. I love it. And I like the bread, white bread, the cheapest the better.
No.
Butter on it. Oh, my God.
I like butter, though.
Mm-hmm. It's good for you.
I eat a lot of butter. Yeah, I eat a big I get looks when I reach for the pat of butter that they give you for the whole table at a restaurant. I take that whole pat and I slather it on.
So good.
Yeah, I need that in my life.
So, can I ask you some questions about your previous incarnations?
Yes.
Because we were talking earlier on, we were talking yesterday, in fact, about Japan, weren't we? Because we went for a Japanese meal.
Yeah.
And you were saying how you'd started out as a dancer, and
Yeah.
the time you'd gone to Japan was with the Pet Shop Boys.
Yeah, I was dancing on a world tour in 1991, and the first stop was Japan. It was so exciting. And we had already rehearsed for 3 months, and this was a really big wang-dang deal because they brought in an opera director to direct this show, and it was like 18 Broadway shows in one concert because every single number had different costumes, different choreography, of course, virtually different set. And it was like a show within a show within a show. So not only were we touring the world for 3 months, I think we did 50 different concerts all over the world, but also every night we were sort of touring the world in terms of the performance. But yeah, Japan was our first stop. And I remember distinctly, there were 10 of us dancers, 3 backing singers, Neil and Chris, the Pet Shop Boys, and then a whole cavalcade of, the crew and of course hair and makeup, costume, wardrobe. Anyway, I remember we're all chattering excitedly on the plane. It was Japan Airlines. And, I must have been chattering the most because the flight attendant came over to me and said very sternly, she was Japanese, she said extremely sternly to me that she said, "Your voice carries."
Oh.
And I was so ashamed of my carrying voice.
But she said, "Yeah, well, this voice is going to make me my fortune."
Yeah, that's right. Look at
Lady.
me now. Look at me now. But, that was my first memory of Japan, was shame. And then the next thing was I think we had a few days off before, I think we had some rehearsals, because it was opening night, so we had to kind of tweak a few things. But opening night was all very excited because backstage, we got bored with this pretty quickly, but to begin with, it was like, wow, look at catering. Look at all this free food. And of course, with free food comes liggers, and with liggers come models, starving models. And it turns out that this whole subculture in Japan of European models, because they go over there, there's a demand for them.
Yeah, they like our quote-unquote big noses, don't they?
I don't know about the noses.
My friend's married to a Japanese girl, and he's a very average-looking, red-headed English bloke.
Yeah.
But in Japan, he's hot news because he's got a big nose.
How interesting. I didn't know about the big nose.
Yeah,
I just knew about the eye shapes and round eyes or big or eyes with a fold in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so suddenly I remember my fellow dancers and I were outraged in the backstage catering area in Japan because these models were coming in and eating our food. It was just like crisps and M&Ms.
But
set
still,
out there.
that's yours.
Yeah, so I remember being very territorial about it. I got over that quickly, but it was a funny thing where they just kind of came out of the woodwork, these very beautiful, statuesque men and women coming in to kind of scavenge the Western goodies that were on offer.
Oh, my. Hey, I want to talk to you about when you work for Oprah, but we need to take a break.
Okay.
03444991,000 though. If you want to join in, if you want to talk about something completely different, this is your radio show too. Give us a buzz. You can text us on 87222. Just put talk and your message on that one. And that'll cost you 25p per message on top of your standard network rate. Or you can tweet us at Talk Radio, at Flippin' Kath, at Katie Puckrik. Come on, you know the score. Most of all though, phones. I love hearing your voices. 0344 499 1000.
Talk Radio. Intelligent, organic entertainment.
Talk Radio.
We'll get you talking.
When Dave met Steve, sparks flew. When Barry met Gary, the foundations were laid. When Fred met Alex, they knew it would work. And they all met thanks to SuperSubby.com. For subcontractors looking for contractors and contractors looking for subbies, Super Subby finds the perfect match by skills, location and trade. It's free for subbies with a 3-month free trial for contractors. So download the app from the App Store and Google Play or visit SuperSubby.com. Super Subby, the new, smarter way to find site work or workers.
For everyone who wants more from their Wi-Fi. For everyone who wants to binge-watch box sets all day long. For everyone who's been stung by unexpected broadband price hikes. TalkTalk has your back. Because our faster fibre comes with our promise of no mid-contract price rises and includes our all-new Wi-Fi hub. With our fastest, strongest, most reliable signal yet. All for just £25.50 a month for 18 months. Search TalkTalk Fibre. TalkTalk for everyone. £30 setup fee, contracts and conditions apply.
Forget history. Forget the years of hurt. Forget the red cards. Forget the missed handballs. Forget the brilliance. Forget being an underdog. Forget every game that has gone before, because all that matters is now.
Harry Kane, England's main goal-getter, is getting his eye in for the summer.
The 2018 FIFA World Cup continues today on ITV.
This is the sound of a fun day out. With the sharks at Sea Life. Days out are even better when they're half price. We're with you. With British Gas Rewards, you can enjoy 50% off top UK attractions. British Gas Rewards. Join today. Terms and date exclusions apply.
Across the UK, online and on DAB.
Talk Radio.
Just replying to Paul on Twitter, who's asking about who was that listener from New York. I think he means Katelyn Bailey from the Old Pro podcast.
Yeah,
she was listen to another one of those on the way home.
Yes, yes.
So good. So, in different news,
yes.
We're talking about your old jobs, right?
Yeah, all my old jobs.
And I love the fact that you mentioned earlier on that you lived in LA for a while.
Yeah, 12 years.
And that's when you were working with Oprah, right?
Yeah. So the reason why I ended up in Los Angeles was I was headhunted by Oprah and her company when she started Oxygen, which is still going strong, better than ever. And at the time I was doing a show for ITV called Pajama Party, and I
loved that show so much.
Yes. Yeah, it was sort of a less clothed version of what we're doing now, but it was like stupid and smart talk. Just a lot of chin wagging and gum flapping, and silly and smart, playful, frisky talk. And also kind of tied in with the whole ladette so-called movement, which I think, if I'm not mistaken, is a word that I coined. I'd like to find an earlier citation than me using it. But so I got headhunted because Oxygen was a network that was billed as a younger, hipper version of Lifetime.
Right, and you devised Pajama Party.
Yes,
that was your show.
Yeah, that's right. And so they said this fits the bill for what we want for Oxygen. And they moved me over lock, stock, and barrel. I mean, they just, packed up everything in my apartment and shipped me over. And the next thing I knew, I was living in the Hollywood Hills and driving home facing the Hollywood sign every night in Beechwood Canyon, and just really feeling like, this was not a move I ever expected. And one of the first orders of business was to meet the principals who ran the company, which included Oprah. And we were invited out to Marcy Carsey's house. Carsey, Warner, Manabach were the company that did Roseanne and The Cosby Show and these really big sitcoms.
Yeah, I remember those.
Of these now disgraced individuals. But they made a lot of money out of it. And so one of the executives had a beautiful house out in West Hollywood, and the scuttlebutt was a big welcome to Oxygen Party, and Oprah was there, and I remember walking into the room, and she threw her arms open to me, and Marcy Carsey and Tom Warner, the two big execs, said, "And this is Katie Puckrik." And so I got this big warm welcome, and Oprah clasped me to her bosom, and there was lots of, a cloud of hair just sort of just surrounding me. So I just felt totally sucked into the Oprah comfort zone. And then she said to me, she fixed me with a look, and she said, "Are you the impersonator?"
Oh.
So she had no idea who I was.
Oh, man.
So, I mean, I took it for what it was. It's like I got close to her and, got a Oprah hug. And then my brain was racing, thinking about our callers earlier, meeting celebrities. I was in this position now where I was thinking, oh, okay, I have her attention. What can I say? So
she'll like you.
Yeah. And that she'll know that we're kind of like, we share interests.
Yeah.
And, I could be fun, and she'll want to hang out with me maybe. And so I started to bring up the movie that she'd produced, Beloved, and I started to mention Tandy Newton, who's somebody I know a little bit, and right in the middle of me kind of like edging into the topic, she went, I gotta go to the bathroom, and she just turned on her heel and left.
Wow.
So it was very interesting because the warmth was there, and then it just as quickly wasn't there. And I guess she can't be available and accessible to everybody because everybody expects her to be all Oprah all the time. But I did sort of think, hey, this is a party of like...
You're supposed to be peers, aren't you?
Yeah, 15 or 20 people,
It's not like you won a competition and there was a whole bunch of you there.
Yeah, so it was kind of an insight into her. I'm not saying she's a big old fakey, bakey, phony baloney, but there was a sense that she was rationing out the Oprah-ness.
Bit like, at your wedding, when everyone wants a piece of you, but you've got to say hello to everyone.
Yes.
You don't want to get stuck with anyone in particular for too long because you will be, and you know exactly who that person is.
Yeah.
And if they buy you a drink, you've got to put it down because you can't be there the whole time. That must be what being an Oprah is like. You're at your wedding all the time.
Yes. And I had some insight into her because I had, a few years earlier, had written a profile of her for The Guardian newspaper. And so I'd flown out to LA and I was in the audience of the taping of one of her shows. And when you see her in that context, that is her at her most Oprah-iness. So she's very accessible. I mean, kind of weirdly, because she's not actually talking to you one-on-one, but she seems like she is. That's her great skill. I mean, she has a boundless charisma. It's incredible. So there she is on the sound stage addressing the whole audience, and we're putty in her hand, and she's doing a Q&A and taking questions and fielding, ridiculous inquiries and very charmingly shutting people down if they do need to be shut down. But everyone is so just fluffed and folded by her. And so then to have this insight when I actually was meeting her and one-on-one and, as you say, potentially a peer, that was not the case.
Wow.
Yeah.
Showbiz is so... I've only had a few little brushes with, showbiz promises of, I've been to a couple of meetings where they'll say, we could do this, and they make you feel like you're the most important person in the room.
Yeah, it's a great
feeling. They can see you in the role, you're going to end up working together, we'll give you a call back. They never phone back again. And I think that's particularly a television thing.
The kind of joke that people I work with, producers I work with in Los Angeles, was that's a pass, and it would always just be like, I'm a fan, it's a pass, because that was always the terminology in the 2000s was I'm a fan, which is of course now such a cliche. But
what that people would use when they were coming for a screen?
Yeah, or they would just say, an executive that you would meet. You'd go in and meet an exec to pitch some ideas or whatever,
right.
And then they'd be like, "Oh, Katie Puckrik, I'm a fan. I love what you do." And then you feel all warm and fuzzy, and then a minute later or the next day you'd get it's a pass.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of interesting. But I mean, I encountered Oprah a lot because there'd be meetings with. When Oxygen started, it was quite a small company. So it was, when there were get-togethers like once a month, and we'd have to kind of give status reports. I was a executive producer on my show. I brought Pajama Party over, and then I was developing other shows for them. So, I had to go and show up and give an account of what was going on with my staff, the team, and the show.
Yeah.
So, she would greet me. She'd be there with her Cocker Spaniels. She wasn't, I think ultimately she wasn't really happy in that company. She ended up leaving and starting her own company, Oprah Winfrey Network. But she's exceedingly powerful. I have one more encounter with her that I could mention if we have the time.
Yeah, go on.
So, when I first moved over to Los Angeles around 2000, there was a big Vagina Monologues event. It was called V-Day. So every time February 14th rolled around, Eve Ensler, who created Vagina Monologues, would do this big benefit for women. And instead of just the one person performing the entire Vagina monologue, she would get together a cast of women stars that were just the top stars. So I don't know how I got lumped into this because I was in no way, shape, or form a star. But
you are a vagina owner.
I am a vagina owner, and I have met a few stars. So I got lumped into this Madison Square Garden event where the likes of Oprah Winfrey, Jane Fonda, Gloria Steinem, huge stars were delivering the monologues, and then further there were like 50 other women who were also big time actresses and activists and the like, and me, and we were kind of in the chorus, so we would kind of chime in with certain words and kind of flesh out what was going on. But I can tell you that the event was sold out. Madison Square Garden seats 18,000 people, and when Oprah walked onto the stage in sold-out Madison Square Garden, you could have heard a pin drop, because that is the command. That is the ultimate authority the woman has without even opening her mouth. And my feeling, the thought that popped into my head in 2000 when I was in this performance with her was, Oprah Winfrey could be the president of the United States.
I was going to ask you about that, because like this time last year,
the Me Too,
there was a feeling that she might be up for it.
Yeah. And when she delivered that address, that Me Too speech, that was what people were saying was, oh my God, she could be, the medicine for us. Yeah. She could heal us from Donald Trump. There's no doubt that, if she wanted to, that's certainly a convincing direction that she could go into. But being in the room with 18,000 people who didn't even want to breathe, they wanted to just listen to her and absorb her.
I'm guessing she doesn't need to be president.
No, she doesn't. But, it wouldn't be that fun.
But she kind of is the president they need, isn't she?
Yeah. It'd be kind of, all bets are off now. We have this cheesy reality show star who is the president, who's not, he likes to say he's a businessman. No, he played one on television. He's a terrible businessman, Donald Trump.
He's an off business. Apparently, Paris Hilton has made more business sense decisions.
Oh, that's a good statistic. Yeah, no, his casinos, he runs he launches them with Russian money and money from elsewhere.
Well,
and
half of the Trump buildings are just buildings owned by someone else with his name
on it. Yeah, so it's all these little funny loopholes, and so that's why was there a Trump building in South America where all the residents voted to take the Trump sign
off? Yeah,
and he was fighting that. But
God. Well, anything could happen though. We're in those times, like you said yesterday, that it's horrific, but at the same time, what a time to be alive.
Yeah, it's a historic time. It's very jangling. I feel jangled. Like I have to not look at Twitter so much. I have to try not to get sucked into all the stories, although I do every single day read the Washington Post and the New York Times. I can't not read it.
No, can't look away. Yeah. We've got some phone calls. Let's go and see who's on. Hello, Paul.
Yo, how you doing, Kath?
I'm all right, thanks. Thanks for hanging on for us. I know we've been yammering, but it's just such a weird situation that they've got over in America at the moment.
No, it really is. He's, in fact, Donald Trump's come out with the tweet, hasn't he, in the last, hour and a half.
Oh, what's he said now?
He's kind of defended Melania's thing on the back, saying it was about the media and fake news and all this stuff.
Well,
I don't believe a word.
Then she should choose her time for making such statements, because it looked terrible.
Don't it, Jess? It's awful, isn't it?
Yeah.
Anyway, can't you hear change?
Go on.
Right. I want to talk about accents.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Because I've heard Katie's accent. Hi, Katie. How you doing?
Hi. I'm good. Feeling very accented, because you're the one with the accent, and Kath is the one with the accent.
Totally the one with the accent. Man.
You are.
So I know you've been in the UK a long time. But I was wondering if you could tell where I'm from.
Oh, the North.
No.
I'm getting a no. I'm getting a little no. No, I'm terrible with identifying accents.
Say something more. Give her a long sentence.
All right. I've been calling up now for the last few weeks, and I really enjoyed the show, and I'm loving the fact that you and Catherine and you are doing a good job while Iain's in New York.
Well, you have, of course, I'm very positively disposed towards your accent, because you're saying such lovely things with it.
Well, his people are known for their poetry. Romantic souls.
I don't know. Romantic souls?
Yeah. Go on, tell her, Paul.
I'm from South Wales.
Oh, I see. I would have.
Caerphilly.
If you had said singing and coal mining, I didn't know. But okay, yeah, Dylan Thomas. I guess that's a romantic soul from Wales. No, it isn't. Yours is softer. So if it was like
if it was like a Tom Jones,
I was going to say Karis Matthews sort of one.
I used to stalk Karis Matthews when I was in university.
Oh, did you know?
I knew where she lived. So,
you really did stalk her. Oh my goodness!
Genuinely, we used to go to the pub at the end of the road. The pub was called the Yellow Kangaroo, and that was the end of her street. So they had like a picture of her at the end of the bar, and we went there so many times trying to find her.
Yeah,
and she was never there.
Oh, so she was like a local hero.
Oh my God, Karis Matthews was a hero to all the Welsh. I used to live with a Welsh girl, and she idolised Karis Matthews because she used to sing in her own accent.
Yeah.
Makes a big difference to people. It's that whole thing of if you can see it, you can be it. You know that thing.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
Well, I'm sorry that I was so ignorant as to not correctly identify.
She's a racist, is what she is, Paul.
I'm not. I'm just dumb.
Anti-Welsh. Anti-Welsh, that's what it is.
Anyway, how's your day been today?
It's been tidy. Yeah.
Tidy.
It's been all right.
Good. Well,
haven't done an awful lot apart from taking my little bike kickboxing. That's about it, really.
You're weaponising your child?
Totally. He lives in Wales. Yeah, he's 4 years old, and we took him kickboxing, and fair play, the instructor had him out the front doing the stretches, instructing the rest of the class. That was class.
Amazing. I've been trying to get my daughters into some sort of organised violence, but they're not having it.
There's lots of girls go to this class, mind. It's really good.
Wow.
I'm not saying go to this one, of course. We're a long way away. But it is really good.
Yeah, it's a bit of a commute for us, but yeah, you're right. All right, Paul, thanks very much for phoning. Nostar, Cariad.
Nostar.
Let's talk to Annie. Hi, Annie.
Hi, Kath, how are you doing?
I'm all right. Nice to hear from you.
Hi, Annie.
Good. Hi, Katie, how are you?
I'm very well.
Good, very good.
What's going on with you?
I've got a blagging story for you, actually.
Beautiful.
It is a little bit accent related as well now I think about it.
Oh, good. She's covering all the bases.
Covering everything. I like to hit all the bases. I was on holiday a number of years ago. I was on holiday in LA, actually, with a then boyfriend. And we decided in the middle of the holiday we were going to properly splash out and go to a high-end restaurant. Just to see, because you've got to do it sometimes when you're on holiday.
Exactly, you're on holiday. Why not?
Well, absolutely, you've got to do it. We got dressed up, the whole thing. And it was one of these, there was a gatekeeper at the front, and we just kind of realised very quickly, we're not getting in, this isn't going to happen. So we're just quietly in the queue, and my boyfriend at the time, just joking, said, do you think, if they knew who we were, we would probably get a table? And she heard, this who was gatekeeping, heard this and kind of zoned in, and it came out and heard the English accent as well. So she said, are you connected to someone that I'm aware of? And I said, well, that would be wholly inappropriate to use that kind of connection. So no, it's fine, don't worry. We went to leave. And 2 minutes later we were at a table.
That's so good how vague you were with it.
You didn't lie to her.
Absolutely.
It's her assumption.
Yeah, and also like how cool. Like that actually sounds much more plausible and believable.
It does.
Yeah, like
if we started dropping names, I wouldn't have been able to carry it off. But no, we couldn't possibly. It's fine. We'll go somewhere else.
And you know what? That English charm, the accent, all that thing, and being that self-deprecating probably was the charm.
Oh, they love that. They eat that stuff up over in America.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, the accent got very, very posh while we were there, and it got us served an awful lot quicker in a lot of places. It was
beautiful.
Amazing.
Can you remember what the food was like? Was it worth it?
Yeah, no, it was all right. It was one of those. It was effectively a burger joint that was trying to pretend it wasn't. It was one of those kinds of places.
Right.
That was, a fancy burger with lots of garnish around it. So the food was all right, but we had better while we was out there. So, but yeah, we were fawned over an awful lot, and you can't fault that. You know, every now and then.
Oh gosh, it's so easy to get used to that. Do you remember the name of the place where you went?
I don't actually know. No, I don't.
All she knows is they served up deception burgers.
Yeah,
pretentious burgers.
Yeah, pretentious burgers and chips that they make faults out of, and that was basically it.
Right.
Yeah, so they made a little pile of chips rather than try and make it look fancy. That was about it. But it was stupidly expensive, but it was alright, it was worth it just for the amount of attention we got while we were there.
Yeah, and getting one up on them as well, getting through the system.
Yeah, and there was then lots of different waitresses would come around and be very, very nice, and they were desperately trying to find out who we were, but because we weren't anybody, so we weren't going to let anything on at all.
You were discreet, that's who you were, and that means you must be someone important.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, because we were so important, we didn't even have to shout about it. It was just, we just had to be important.
Gosh, that's a lesson to us all. Thanks, Annie.
Thank you very much.
Take care of yourself. If you want to give us a ring, the time is ticking away. 0344 499 1000. We've got George on the phone, and then we'll be coming to you if you fancy it. 0344 499 1000.
Across the UK, online and on DAB.
Talk Radio.
We have ways of making you talk.
Winston Wolfe, Direct Line. You're Harry the Plumber.
Yeah?
A successful small businessman like yourself needs protection. Meet Lars and Vlad. They're big.
Hello?
Big shot lawyers, that is. See, they create and check legal documents that you can download. So you're covered. And this legal document service comes with your Direct Line insurance.
Wow. Yeah. Direct Line's public liability insurance includes a legal document service. Can your insurance do that? Search Direct Line Public Liability Insurance. New and existing customers underwritten by UK Insurance Limited.
At DFS, sofas are handmade to order in your choice of colour. And now Spring Collection sofas are up to half price. But be quick, selected sofas end Monday. DFS.
Cast your mind back and think. Were you ever contacted out of the blue for a pension review? Were you advised to move your work or personal pension into a SIP, self-invested personal pension?
Yes, I was.
You could be due thousands if you were missold. Money Redress are trusted claims specialists in pension and investment misselling. They'll manage the whole claim for you on a no payout, no fee basis, so you can't lose. Text WIN to 85077.
Get 2 free tickets to Warwick Castle worth over £50. Huzzah! Simply collect 9 codes inside the Sun to lay claim to yours. Don't miss an offer fit for a king. Starts tomorrow. The Sun Super Days. They're free of charge.
Football on one channel and football on the other channel. Not everyone's cup of tea. At Tesco Mobile, we're offering 3 pay-as-you-go rocket packs for the price of 2. Save a tenner and enjoy 3 gig a month. So you can stream whatever, wherever, even if it is football. For your sim, go online or in-store. Tesco Mobile. Every little helps.
Promotion ends June 26. Rocket pack expires after 1 month. Requires Tesco Mobile or unlock 4G phone minutes. Text to standard UK landline and mobiles, including roaming T's and C's apply.
Greetings, Earthlings. We come in peace. We wish to communicate with your leader.
I'm Howard Hughes. Join me this Sunday night from 10 for a trip into the outer limits.
Untwist the lid on Talk Radio's specimen jar of the psychic, the supernatural, and the simply unexplained. The Unexplained with Howard Hughes. Sunday night from 10, Earth time, on Talk Radio.
Democratic sonic involvement. Talk Radio. We'll get you talking.
It's a grandiose way of saying we like to have a good old yammer, and if you want to join us, you can do 0344 499 1000. In a second, we'll go to Rainbow George in Highgate, of course. But we were just talking about LA and how when you arrived there, you thought, this is it. I've reached the pinnacle. This, you've been in TV. You've been really well known in the UK.
Yep.
They've picked up on this thing that you created that was hugely successful. This is it. You've arrived.
Well, I was aware enough to know how unusual and how lucky I was. It wasn't one of those things where I just assumed this is how everybody shows up in town. I mean, I'd been handpicked by Oprah and her people to launch her whole new network.
That's a pretty good seal of approval.
Yeah, it's a huge seal of approval. But it was, I think I was naive about how easy it was going to be, because up until then once I got established on my first TV job presenting The Word, other things came to me quite easily. So I sort of thought, once my lovable self shows up in Hollywood, everyone's going to want a piece of the action. And to some degree, that was the case. But my goodness, there's a lot of talented people there. So I was going to a factory town. That's what I always think of Los Angeles, like it's the workhouse of creativity. So there's a lot of competition, a lot of people jostling for position.
And a lot of it's about connections, and you were a new kid in town, I guess.
Yeah. And, my connections were pretty good, and I had a lot of, early on, at a party, I buddied up with Megan Mullally, who was starring in Will and Grace, and I was telling her, she's a great person anyway, just because she's always interested in other people. So that was sort of my way in, unlike Oprah, who's interested up to a point, and then she has to go to the bathroom. But so, for instance, Megan was somebody who, I said, she asked me what I was doing, and I explained I'm doing the show, pajama party, blah, blah, blah. She went, I want to come on it. Like, here's my number, call me up. And so to this day, we're friends, from her expressing curiosity and wanting to try different things. So in a way, it's kind of easy to, once you're at a certain strata of people, people who are creative always want to meet other creative people.
Yeah, because it feeds, doesn't it? It feeds off. You feed off each other in a way. That sounds hideous, but actually, you know what I mean.
You kind of
nourish each other.
Yeah. So. It's an interesting situation because
you should take credit for that as well, because you're the sort of person who is interested in other people. And, I picked you up in a record shop, for God's sake.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, well, I am curious. I am interested in...
And open.
I am open to opportunity. I'm interested in interesting people, and I'm also drawn to sparky people. So when you and Iain came up to me, I just thought, these people have vim, they have vigor, and there's some jut in their strut, and I was attracted to that.
I'd had a couple of glasses of wine. That was what was the vim and the vigor you were sensing there. Should we have a quick word with George? Hiya, George.
Hello, it's nice to speak to you again. I came to the programme late again this evening. I'd been on Hampstead Heath, Parliament Hill, sort of solstice stuff going on.
Oh, how lovely, yes.
And it was nice. Thank you for calling me Rainbow George. Kathy never calls me Rainbow George.
Doesn't he?
I think if he called me anything now, he'd start calling me Stoner George, because that's what he's been referring to me as recently. But it's lovely to speak to you both. You gave me such a big build-up yesterday, Kath, and I didn't live up to it, I'm afraid.
Oh, don't be ridiculous. This is something I've noticed with you, is that you always play yourself down.
Oh, no.
He's playing that down.
Yes, he is. You're already playing that down.
I tuned in. You were talking to a lady about prostitution.
Yeah.
Who was that?
She's called Katelyn Bailey, and she does a podcast. She's a sex worker herself, but she's also a comedian and an activist, and just a thoroughly interesting person.
Is that Katelyn with a C?
It's a Kaytlin. Katelyn.
And her podcast is called Old Pros.
The Oldest Profession.
Yeah.
So you were the KKK then?
That's right.
Yeah, but the one everyone likes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not the sinister one.
It's exciting time for me, sort of just looking forward to what I was talking about yesterday, and Friday the 13th of July, the 33rd anniversary of Live Aid, and the day that Donald Trump is scheduled to arrive in London.
I know, it's going to be a whole protest, people dropping trowel, right?
I don't know.
Flashing their hindquarters in his direction.
You're not going to join the Mooney protest?
No, because as I say, we have this event, and finally we are actually going to get to launch the Wonder Party, the party to end all political parties.
Will you though, George? Because that was what we were supposed to be doing last time.
Yeah, well, it turned out just to be another overture to the Wonder Party, but
foreplay.
On the Heath tonight, a three-piece band got together and recorded a version of a song that we've got called We Are the Music Makers, and this band is going to be the band that will launch things on Friday the 13th, and the party to end all political parties will be underway, and I'm hoping we can we can link from the Matt studio to your programme that evening and do something special, Kath.
Well, you can certainly give us a ring. I don't know if we can do anything more elaborate than that.
No, ring would be lovely.
Yeah, do it.
I look forward to it, and thank you very much for everything, and bless you both.
Oh, thanks, George.
Bless you.
All the best.
All right.
Hopefully we'll speak soon. You're on together again tomorrow?
We're on together again tomorrow and Monday.
Oh, lovely. So
and then order will be restored.
I'm sure. I'm sure we can do a better call than this one, and I look forward to it. We'll see which way the script is written, because in my mind everything is written, and we're all being directed to think the way we think and act the way we act, and in my mind none of us are responsible for our actions. But we'll get into that next time, maybe.
But you say that, George, just before you go, you say that, but then every time we speak to you, as I said before, you downplay it. Surely you've said what you needed to say at this point with this call.
No. I mean, when you visited me with Iain, you asked me what my message was, and I gave you a very poor answer. Maybe tomorrow I'll get my message together, and you will exclusively have Rainbow George's message.
Fantastic. It's a work in progress.
Yeah.
Exactly, we all are, aren't we?
Yes.
Good to speak to you, George. You take care of yourself.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Night-night. 03444991000 if you want to speak to us in the dying moments of this show before the rattle heralds Paul Ross.
Oh, well, that's a very sinister way to put that. Is he out there giving it?
He's there looking through the window. Come in, Paul.
That was a message.
Oh no, he's shaking his fist. Are you going to come in?
What? I don't know why she's laying all that sort of sinister talk on you. Did you hear what
Paul
she was
Ross
saying?
lent me a vampire film that I've still not watched, and I mean to.
And she also maintained that all horror films have a sexual subtext, which is so not the case.
I think they are.
So not the case. I mentioned The Others with Nicole Kidman.
Oh, yeah.
And that's not really, I mean, she's pining for her husband.
She's desperate. She's gagging for it, that
And
woman.
it's not that at all.
Driving her
Don't
crazy.
drag us down into the gutter. Seriously. Also, I've got a little present for you. You may not have seen this in yesterday's Times. I know you love Japan. You used to urge us to film. We should have listened to you. I couldn't quite afford it budget-wise to film in Japan for The Word. Look at that wonderful thing.
What is this creature?
Just read the caption. It's brilliant.
Cloud 9. Okay, I'm looking at a creature that has 4 legs, and it's just the shape of a pebble, but made out of fur.
Oh, like a grey cloud almost.
Okay, so Sesame was taken to the Yorikokoro dog salon in Japan, which specializes in grooming dogs to appear fluffy.
Show it to Katherine. It's a lovely. That's
cute.
a real. It's not a cartoon animal.
No,
you see those on a lead in Japan.
That looks like the sort of dog my kids would draw.
Absolutely.
So it is like a sort of a poo shaped, or no, it's or a cloud or a rock. It just looks like a rock.
It's like the kind of cartoon version of the Depression Cloud.
It's like
legs,
a depression.
Yeah.
It's a depression cloud with 4 legs and a face.
Oh, the sort you can pet. That would be a great
But we have
cloud.
got, and I know we all love our showbiz, we've got a fantastic showbiz anniversary, rather a sad one, but an amazing one we're celebrating on the show tonight, because on this day in history, the 22nd of June, 2 remarkable people died, not together, years apart. On this day in 1969, Frances Ethel Gum passed away, Judy Garland, of course.
Yes.
And then you flash forward to 87, Fred Astaire died on the same day.
Wow.
He was my child, and they made one film together, which is a belter, Easter Parade.
Yeah.
So we're celebrating their life, and Renée Zellweger is playing Judy Garland in the last kind of troubled couple of years of her life.
Oh,
She died actually of a barbiturate overdose in Chelsea.
She died on the toilet.
Absolutely, yes,
Yeah.
her and Elvis.
Yeah, not
on the same
together.
time. No, not on the same
because that would be crowded.
No,
They
that
very
wouldn't
crowded scene.
That's a whole different movie, isn't
Yeah,
it? So we're
that's-
talking about on the show today. I'm also talking about frogs and toads.
Oh, yeah.
Big shortage of them, so we're talking about how people can help get them back into our gardens and our lives.
We all have to have ponds now, is that right?
Well, I nearly killed my sister accidentally because of newts. When I was growing up, I used to have an entrepreneurial streak which has disappeared. So I'm now Mr. McCallber. Income, 20 shillings, expenditure, 20 shillings and sixpence. But we found a local pond, and we found an old dustbin, chucked the dustbin in with holes in it, and dredged it out, and we had hundreds of newts. You know, the tiny lizard-like lovely creatures. Yeah. And we were selling them, and I was selling them for what used to be 6pence, which is like 2.5p now. Don't even have half a pences. And they're in the back garden. My dad was unsure of this. In this bin, which we put inside a bin bag, and they had lots of newts in, but loads of sand in the bottom. Anyway, Suddenly I heard this almighty scream early one morning. My father ran in with my sister, who was only 2. She'd been looking at the newts and toppled in, and he'd found her, and he literally had to revive her.
Oh, no, you could have killed her.
I could have been a whole Hitchcock movie waiting to happen, like Spellbound. So, no more newts for me, but I'd love frogs and toads in my back garden.
Oh, they're great. They're the best, but there's something that will always surprise you. I go out, I keep my tumble dryer in the garage, right, and I have to go out through my back garden to get to it, and the number of times I've nearly stepped on a frog when I was out there, big juicy ones in my back garden.
I used to have a toad when I lived down in West Sussex, and there was a proper old-fashioned cellar there, and I didn't realise that toads kind of hibernate, or semi-hibernate, and for about 3 years, and they're quite long-lived toads, this same mottled old grey toad could be found in the cellar. And it's that kind of weird thing, we think, what a weird solitary life, and he would ribbit, and make his way somehow down into my coal cellar, and then make his way out and come back the next year.
Have you ever heard...
Stop the conversation, slow down.
I know, I'm just pondering.
Have you ever heard a toad or a frog scream?
Thank you very... Once again, you drag us to the realms of horror, Kath
They
Boyle.
scream.
Do they?
I know people who have cats and they've been woken in the middle of the night to this really awful piercing sound, and it was a frog screaming.
Being disemboweled by Kitty.
Yeah, and apparently it sounds like a kid.
Oh, no.
Yeah, horrific sound. So, think yourself lucky you've never heard such a haunting noise.
I'm never going to get that image and sound out of my head
No,
now.
it's hideous.
Again, that's like the title of an 80s kind of horrible video nasty. Screaming Frogs.
Screaming Frogs. Or a really good band name.
Screaming Frogs 2 with Kath Boyle and Katie Puckrik.
And
I loved your Oprah Winfrey story. That was a belter.
So good.
Oh,
I'd love to have met her, but I mean, what a remarkable story. I had a similar, well, not a similar thing. I've interviewed Tom Cruise a couple of times.
Oh, yeah.
And of course he just turns it on, but I know a few of the guys who do those junkets where they, they put a camera on you, you've done loads of them, Katie, and the camera on the main man or main woman. And, the guy I know very well, a cameraman, said when he comes in, Tom Cruise, he goes this very intense stare, grasps their hands and says, "What's your name?" And he remembers like 8 different names.
But that's a power thing, isn't it?
But he remembers everybody's names, and they said, you guys, Keith, do you want some water? Michelle, do you want... But then you might meet him 2 days later, he's completely forgotten you.
Well, he can't maintain all of that flotsam and jetsam.
But it's a fantastic, a weird, focused gift to have, though, isn't it?
Yeah, Scientology helps with that.
I suppose so.
That is a technique. All this and more coming up with Paul Ross up next. We're done for the night. We'll see you tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Talk Radio.
We've got entertainment, and we're not afraid to use it. Talk Radio.
Countdown to Brexit on Talk Radio with The Times. Know your times. The clock is ticking as the UK prepares to officially leave the European Union. Listen to the No Nonsense Breakfast with Julia Hartley-Brewer this morning from 6:30, when she'll be joined by Times journalists to discuss the latest Brexit developments. Don't just be informed, be well informed with debate, analysis and opinion from right across the political spectrum. Countdown to Brexit with Julia Hartley-Brewer, weekday mornings from 6:30 on Talk Radio with The Times.
It's the most exciting start to a season on Sky Sports F1 in years.
What a race we've had.
We've had 3 different race winners from 3 different teams.
Night all.
What a masterclass performance by Hamilton.
An unrivaled drama on the track.